Defining Duke is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms. So head to squarespace.com/Duke to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. It also allows you a free trial. Again, head to squarespace.com/Duke for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using code DUKE. Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Salutations, everybody. It is Maddie here today, and welcome to episode 145 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. Today, I am joined by the comeback kid himself, Lord Cognito. We got a lot of comeback stories here in this episode, Cog, so especially your own. I'm excited to hear from you, sir. Yeah. I know it's been a week, so fill us in, man.
Yeah, man, it's been a rough year, as y'all know, mostly, this year with all the hospitalizations and stuff. So, if you want me to get into it, I'll get right into it as far as me. Yeah, so
I'll say beforehand, by all means.
So most know, that I was hospitalized earlier, COVID with pneumonia, and then it brought back my diverticulitis. So they were like, look, we saw some things on the liver, and we need to take a look at that. So this was a scheduled procedure that I had yesterday. So the funny thing, Maddie, is I didn't know what the extent of a liver biopsy truly meant. Like, I got different opinions. It's like, oh yeah, you're just gonna go in there. It's gonna be like an ultrasound. They're gonna rub the jelly on your belly, and then they're gonna do the little thing, and then you're gonna sit there. They're gonna inject you, and then even so, the recovery they say in 4 hours, you'll be out of there in like 2-3 hours. They just monitor your vitals, whatever. So I'm like, all right, I can do that. That's doable. You know what I'm saying? So I get there, and the staff was excellent. So I get there, and it's all problem when every step of the way they got to go to plan B. So I get there and they're like, we can't, we're not seeing the liver spots with, the little leak. So then they get the senior surgeon in. So he's working the thing and they're like, it's so faint, whatever. So it's like, yeah, we're going to have to do a CAT scan. So when I hear CAT scan, MRI, you know how I get.
Yeah.
You know how I get. So I
got the CAT scan because I got one when I had to get my appendix out. CAT scan's usually a much bigger. Am I remembering properly? Okay.
Much bigger, but here's the thing. So I'm like, all right, I still don't like it, but let's do the CAT scan. If this is going to get you the accurate thing, because remember, they got to put a needle in you. They got to do a procedure. You need to know where you put the needle at accurately. I rather let's go to the machine. So for the greater of science, let's do it correct. So we go there. And here's the thing. They doing extra stuff that I'm not ready for. They're like, we're going to strap your legs in. Then it's like, give your arms up to Jesus and stay like this. So I'm like, word? I got to be like this for mad long. So now
that's medieval torture. You got your legs strapped and your hands are above your head. Am I hearing this right?
This is the passion of the Christ. I'm like, what's going on? So now they like, all right. Then they like, all right, we're gonna hit you with the dye, the injection that light up your inside. And if you've ever had this, if anybody's had the CAT scan with a dye, that joint make you feel like you got to go pee immediately when that's in your system. Because it's like balls get warm, balls get hot. Yeah. So now they slide you in the automated joint, right? Breathe in, breathe out, boom, and hold. Yo, Maddie, when they slide me out, why is the surgeon there, all the tools, ready to cut you up? The time is 10:20 something. The patient is cognito. Check. I'm like, what are y'all about to do? Like, we not doing this in the tube. Like, what's going on? So my dumb self thought they just going to do the CAT scan, get the reader, and then they're going to take me to the undisclosed location to do the actual procedure. They was like, yeah, the time is da-da-da-da. Let's get the cut. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? So I ain't going to hold you, Maddie. The full-blown panic. Oh, God, no, not like this. Then what gets worse, then he go, look, we got the the lesions were very faint. So I said, isn't that a good sign? He was like, yeah, because, when I had the lesions, they said, go on a low sodium diet. I've eliminated salt from my diet. So he's like, no, it could be a good thing. But he said, we got to get something from one of them that's very conclusive. So he said, you got one that's on the liver, but that's closer to the lung. He said, but don't worry. We could put the tube down your throat, and we just got to worry about not collapsing your lung.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's easy. No worries.
Why are you telling me this? Right? So now I'm like, oh no, we got to do that today. So he go, no, but that's just in case. So now I'm freaking out. I'm like, yo, y'all gonna have to get me out of here. This is not what I signed up for. Yeah. So the nurse, I'm not going front. The staff was excellent. Homegirl came over. They had the emergency panic response team. They came through. They was like, Kyle, don't worry. You got this. So what we going to do? She said, look at me. She's like, all right, what you going to do? She said, you put your tongue, some yoga, some chi joint. Like she put your tongue by the back of your teeth. Like, yeah, do that. She was like, inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, breathe out, but control your breathe out. So, my joint going crazy, son. Because remember, they got me in a bit of a torture, and then they got the dude ready to, they got the surgery. So I'm sitting there like, oh God. So I ain't going front. That joint worked. She was like, you're doing so good. She's like, look, your pulse is going down. You're thinking that. I was like, I ain't gonna get no more calmer than this. Y'all gonna have to go. Do the surgery. Let's go. So now they do the joint. Then they go.
They knock you out, right?
I am awake. Do the whole joint. The only thing that is local anesthesia is the actual cutting of the cutting. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Man.
The cutting of the cutting is that's the only. Yeah. So
that's the weirdest feeling too, man. When I had to get actually you can see the scar on my arm a little bit here. It's probably not coming through because of the lighting, but I had to get a mole removed on my arm one time, and like I was just laying there wide awake, and they're just cutting away at my forearm. I'm like, you could be doing anything in there right now. I don't even know. I don't even feel it.
My joint could be on the black market now. Like, I don't know. So then here's the other funny part. They go, so she said, don't freak out. You may hear some clipping. So I'm like, that's them actually doing it.
When they say don't freak out, these doctors got to learn. When they say don't freak out, I'm going to freak out.
I'm gonna freak out. So now, all right, she do it. But the cool thing, you don't feel anything. I will say that part, I was okay because I didn't feel anything. But again, I'm in the joint. He's doing it. Then here's the scary part. He's telling you, Maddie, breathe in, breathe out, hold. While he's saying hold, he's like, don't move. Hold your breath. That's when he's doing the clip. Wow. Then they go, all right, scan him. Then they send you back in the coffin.
While you're open?
While you open. And they go, hold, breathe. The machine says, hold, breathe, come out. This process is going on for like an hour. I come back out. He get back with the snipping. He telling me hold. And then with the aggressive, because if I mess up, he could be inaccurate. So you better hold. You better hold. This was the worst procedure. The only thing saying I was ignorant to what was going to happen. If I would have known this is what a liver biopsy consists of, hell to the no. And I was like, because initially I was going to take only like 2 or 3 little microscopic pieces of liver. They took like 5. And he was like, because we want to make sure we get something. I was like, yes, because we're not doing this. We're not doing no other one. We're not doing no lung. You going to get your information from this and it's a wrap. So yeah, that's how we do it. And then it's still not over. You come out and, They put in this liquid that's almost like a foam, almost like the seal to so that you don't have internal bleeding. They put pressure on the thing. Then they put you in recovery. Now you get to recovery. It's still not over, Manny. 2 to 3 hours flat. You can't move. And then while my bladder is like, yo, we ain't pee yet. What's up?
Wow.
So they like, here's the bottle. Excuse my language. Put a dick in the bottle. Now you got to roll on your. I'm like, can I get some privacy, please? You know what I'm saying? So now I'm looking like a straight savage. You know what I'm saying? With the joint in the bottle, like, bro, like it was crazy. So yeah, that was the first 2 hours of recovery, and then the last 4 hours is a 6-hour recovery, bro. Yeah, the last 4 hours is when I sent you the picture, which is they put you now in a slightly upright position. And then they go, okay, they bring food or whatever. And then I say, yo, grab my bag. I got the wrong ally in there. You know what I'm saying? You got a plug? All right, cool. We gonna work this. Because everybody told me the longest part is the second and 4 hour joint. I was like, nah. So we got Starfield. I'm almost finished with the Freestar Collective. I'm about to do this ill joint. You know what I'm saying? So my Starfield saved me all the way. I was like, thank you, Starfield, for this.
Odd Howard coming in clutch again.
Howard came and he's my go-to when it comes to the surgery check. Sir, thank you, because I was humming your tunes and it made that last 4 hours go. But yeah, liver biopsy, not a fan.
Yeah,
but we got to do it. We got to find out what's going wrong. We got to see if there's anything, hopefully nothing cancerous. And if it is, early detection. So the moral of this is suffer to get the answer, because you do need to know long-term what's wrong with you. So yeah, that was me. How was your day? How was your...
Man, I feel like anything I say about my week sounds like I'm flexing and bragging now. This is just yesterday. And for the record, I told Cog if we had to push back the show, we'll figure something out. But as always, my man's a soldier. Yeah, I mean, this week for me, I was really the opposite. I was like, let me just focus on like resting, recovery.
Nice.
I was able to move Lock up to like a higher pay rate, which I've been wanting to do for a while, because I want to get more edits in his hands, because what's been happening is my schedule's just been getting chewed up a lot by video edits, where I'm not able to go focus on doing creative stuff to make the videos. So that's where my week has been, is like a lot of catch up work on my video game, catch up work on YouTube stuff, allowing myself to like make a list, prepare for the holidays, stuff that I'm usually months ahead on. I'm usually doing this in August. I'm doing it now. So shout out to Locke for his availability, but that's kind of been my week. Certainly, I got nothing scary to report. So
no, but that's good, because you did say you wanted to decompress. You said like kind of get things in order.
I'm coming up on this weekend. Laylee and I are going away for just a brief trip to the spa, and I'm just like, I'm so looking forward to it. Just unwinding a little bit.
Yeah, you've been nonstop. You're a machine. I don't know how you do all these reviews, all these things. Manage 2 or 3 channels and make a game and host a podcast. Like, bro, you do a lot.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is Laylee was kind of like the alarm bell. Usually I wait like, we're a couple months away. Let's just make it to December. I'll just take 3 weeks off. Like, we're planning. We'll be fine. She's like, no, that's your problem. Like, take a break now, take a break then, take the weekend off. Let's go do something. So she's totally right. And that's kind of my big focus moving forward now that I've finally stabilized things. I honestly, now I feel like I'm officially shifting into like where I was at my studio space all these months later after moving in. Just so much was in flux. And just a lot of stabilizing this week.
Good.
And a lot more time to game, fortunately, because I felt like I've been slipping on that a lot, which never makes me happy.
You got to be happy, man. That's what it's about. I feel that. Good stuff.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. As I said, this is episode 145. You can support us over on patreon.com/laststandmedia if you want early access to hearing us talk about our health scares. That's every Thursday. You can also support us by listening for free Sundays, Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify. You can find us on YouTube, on the Last Stand Media YouTube channel. But if you're a patron, you do get access to Defining Duke Ultimate episodes that we reference quite a bit on these shows, like the one we just did, which is going to be brought up for a whole year. And that's the Defining Duke 2023-2024 fantasy draft. Cog and I sat down. We made a list. I'll be honest, my man wiped the floor with me. And so I needed to come out strong. I made some competitive selections if you listen, you'll hear that, like a Microsoft Flight Sim, stuff that's not in my wheelhouse, that's never been booted up on a Matty Xbox before, but we're going for a win this time. So I had to change the strategy versus my select every single Xbox first party game and put it in a single year strategy last year, which did not pan out. So, Cog, congrats on your win. What did you think of our draft?
I liked it, man. First of all, like I said, learning curve for the rook. You learned some lessons last time. But bro, you're coming correct. I love what you did in your draft. I actually got a little bit more risky. So I have to see how it's going to pan out for me, because I think the role has reversed a little bit. There's some things that I know I'm going for risk, but hey, man, you were so good. I had to take some shots, man. So
my man You got to listen because the Yakuza pick is one of the most bold ones I've seen, but it's creative. You got creative, especially your Call of Duty pick. You got very creative. So that's available on patreon.com/laststandmedia if you want to check that out. You can also write in over there, just like Don Otaku did. We have a lot of follow-ups from our audience, a lot of random stuff here. We made the mistake of talking about food once, and it's a floodgate now. So let's get started with Don Otaku. He says, "What's up, disastrous Dukes? This isn't a question, but I just had to share this in light of one of last week's posts. In high school, my brother had a friend who could eat cold hot dogs straight out the pack, no bread, and just dip them in mayonnaise. He is currently in prison, so take that information as you will. Have an uncooked hot dog minus bread plus mayo equals prison kind of day." Natural selection, man. That dude belongs in prison in my eyes. That's serial killer behavior, as I've said, man. Bro, cannot allow those types of people to be walking around society.
Listen, man, that definitely sounds like a menace to society. Hopefully the brother get his life together, you know what I mean? Because he's out here living foul. And that type of energy, Don, you know what I'm saying? Get that man the treatment he need. Go see him on the visits, making sure he okay.
Make sure he's all right, yeah. Meatball's our next one here. Happy spooky season, Dukes. Dustin is up to his Twitter shenanigans again with he put this in bold, horrendous take. Candy corn is delicious. Where did the Dukes stand? What is the greatest of all time trick or treat candy? Thanks for the entertainment every week. So indeed, it is October, Cog, and it's time to start collecting some candy. If you're our age, you're a little creepy to be doing that, but still, nonetheless, we can go to the store and buy some. Now, Cog, when you were in your trick or treating days, did you get a little hype when you saw some candy corn, or what was the go-to? What was the favorite for you?
So let me answer the first, because I guess they're dragging Dustin.
Yeah,
apparently. I don't mind candy corn. I never thought of candy corn as like, yo, that's disgusting. I mean, it wasn't my first choice, but I never was like grossed out by candy corn. I used to see kids, have that, whatever. I think for me, I was always like, whatever, when like people had a little, trick or treat bag, like whatever the Reese's Pieces, the little, there's certain little ones, the Twixes, like I always like the mini name brand stuff. Like with all these mini, or the Kit Kat mini and the Reese's Pieces mini, that kind of stuff. So that was the stuff I would look for when people would have that stuff. But yeah, I'm a Twizzlers guy, but they didn't really have that during Halloween. So that's pretty much it. What about you? Candy corn, no? Or what
I'm about candy corn. I don't think it's amazing. The problem is the presentation, right? You look at it and it doesn't look like a candy to me. It looks wrong. Something messed up in the factory, and they just put it together and sold it, which is actually kind of funny because I learned this. Apparently, Cheez-Its. Laylee told me this when we were at the store. I picked up the extra toasty one, brought it home. She's like, that those are just like the burnt ones that they just repackage and throw in there. Like, so there's the Cheez-Its that they cook and then they burn some of them. And so they put those to the side and put them in a toasty box. And so I'm like, you're giving me leftovers?
Wow.
That's what I think of with candy corn as a candy. Like its presentation is not there, but taste wise, I always thought it was pretty good. Now with the greatest of all time, trick or treat candy, I want to shout out the houses that would put together, their presentation was great. They would have the bowl and you wouldn't just reach in and grab a handful. Instead, they'd have like the little packages, right? That they slid a bunch of different candies in. That was the spirit of my childhood, man. It felt like that was the house to go to. Mm-hmm. Some houses would give juice out. That was exciting. But if I were to see a candy and my eyes would light up, I don't know if it's a hot take. I have always been a big Three Musketeers guy. I feel like no one talks about that.
Yeah.
But it's so fluffy. I remember my first bite. I was like, man, this is so good. It's like I'm biting into a cloud that tastes like chocolate right now. So man, anytime I saw Three Musks, that was it. That was it. It was a wrap.
No, it's funny you say that. I'm a Three Musketeer guy. You don't hear a lot of people talk about it. It's always Snickers. It's always, Milky Way sometimes, or all the other stuff. But yeah, Three Musketeers don't get no love. I guess because of what people think, assume it's basic or something. I like it. Really? I've always liked Three Musketeers.
Like, I feel like it's got to be higher up. Either that or, M&Ms are a very popular one. That's like the most common one you find in the bag. The little square 4x4 packages that you just rip open, like 10 M&Ms pour out of them. But those are amazing, but everyone knows M&Ms. But I don't feel like we give enough love to the Three Musketeers.
Shout out to Three Musks.
Sneakerhead 24 Cog is coming for you. Yo, Dukes, you done fucked up your draft. Neither of you guys seem to remember that it was addressed back in June during the big FTC trial. Xbox Vice President Sarah Bond pointed out that a current agreement in place with Sony keeps Call of Duty from hitting Game Pass before January 2025. old versions of COD might be able to have been added to Game Pass, but no new versions till 2025. Womp womp. Have a mistake that may give Maddie a fighting chance to win the draft in 24 kind of day. Now, COG, we'll still pull for you because we're going to talk a lot about the Activision Blizzard deal, and there are conflicting reports. And by the time this episode goes live, it's possible the deal is approved. The reason, should have said this earlier, the reason we're kind of holding back is there's a massive fallout from this, no doubt about it. And so I'd rather take the risk on the numbers, do our episode as usual, so we can have until the maximum deadline of the 18th. Hopefully it goes through on Friday, and we have all the fallout from there to just collect and cover in totality next week when we sit down to record. But COG, what is your response here to what Sneakerhead had to write in about our draft? Are you a little nervous now?
I mean, there's risk involved. I will admit, I knew coming in there was some risk involved because of reports like this, and then we'll discuss some reports later, that may, go to my side. So yeah, it's a risky thing. I think internally they may have some decisions to Microsoft that they have to make, and we just got to see how it's going to play out, y'all. But I'm going for it. I stood on my square. I'm going for COD next year, Game Pass, and we shall see. We shall see what happens. But now, shout out to Sneakerhead for again pulling up the initial information that we heard. So we just got to see whose information is correct.
We got one here from Aaron Omar. Greetings, Dukes. Last week, COG mentioned wanting to hear from a hardcore Forza Gran Turismo fan. His credentials are the following: Gran Turismo since 1998 and Forza since 2011. So much more than me.
Official.
I played through the early access period and can confidently say this is a solid base to build upon. It does feel a little bare bones for a full price release, unfortunately, but the driving and physics feel like the best that Turn 10 have ever produced. The car leveling system gets in its own way for a seasoned driver, but it's a godsend, or I think it's a godsend for newer players trying to understand how various parts affect the vehicle. It doesn't hurt that the game looks and runs beautifully. Overall, we have another high-quality burger from the woefully underrated Turn 10 team. Thanks for the high-quality content, and have a Curio and Ichiban must have another face-off to bridge our divided Dukes kind of day. And I'm going to pull up this write-in, COG, real quick before you try to slander me with a little Ichiban stuff. I wanted to pull in this other write-in here from Phil Walker that I was saving for the What We're Playing section, but I think it's relevant now.
What's up?
He writes, "Hey Dukes, I know you are not Forza players, and I'm unsure if you've heard the rumblings from the PC space regarding performance. 6 years of development for what appears to be another underbaked final product. Of course, there was the Redfall debacle and even Starfield's lack of optimization for NVIDIA cards and missing basic functionality like brightness control, HDR calibration, etc. When will Xbox stop learning and start delivering day one? We should be long past this. Cheers, boys." Phil. And there's been a lot of criticism surrounding the launch here of Forza Motorsport, and it's something we talked about briefly last week. That it was kind of I thought that quite frankly the scores coming out looked a little soft, and now the PC version's apparently not the best, and there has been even controversy on the visuals on Twitter a bit, which has left some people worried about what they see, we'll say, beyond the road, which I know doesn't matter too much, but it's left some people just feeling like it was what you and I said was kind of one of our fears. Like, this is a platform, they're going to build on it. Even if Dan Greenwald was like, no, it's premium product. It's like, you can sell us anything, but that doesn't mean it's actually going to be premium. And that the way this game's built is looking more and more like another live service platform of which Xbox will build upon for years to come. Kind of eerily reminiscent of Halo Infinite, like solid core, really strong mechanics, lacking in content that people are looking for. But the PC version seems to be a problem here. So, Todd, what do you make of what Aaron and Phil wrote in here? Kind of some experts coming in with some opinions on what's happening with Forza.
Yeah, I think these are fair. Honestly, I do. I think that, I'll get into Forza discussion later in detail with my experience, but I do feel that there is a slight controversy with the leveling up the car RPG system, in terms for the seasoned guy, right? And I get that. As far as what he said in reference to the way the physics, the way the car drives, there's nothing that drives like that. Like every person that I've spoke to that is literally either a Gran Turismo head or a Forza head, they really love the driving of Forza. Shout out to my man Ibantis. He's been playing these car games for a long time as well as Ainsley, who we talked about last week. So that's fair. Now, where I really gotta agree with the fam, the realms of the Duke, that came in, is that we got to talk about these PC ports. This is legit a problem. And we saw it with Starfield. And I was wondering, okay, why are the Starfield reviews so low? And I'm just thinking, okay, because I didn't have all the information at the time that, it's just review bombing or whatever. But no, it's performance. You know what I'm saying? It's the way it's running. And we heard the infamous quote when they challenged God Howard. Hey, like, why does it not? Well, you got to get that new AMD.
Yeah, you got to upgrade your PC to play.
Because we the Lords, we got that joint. You know what I'm saying? So we lit, but come on, not everybody has that. So it needs to be optimized better. Now we're hearing things, with Forza as far as PC. And this is a problem because at the end of the day, you are expecting to grow PC Game Pass. You are expecting to get sales on Steam. PC players are not going to be with this, you're going to launch it and then we're going to fix it up later. We're going to add it. You got to be on point. So I'm going to be on them. This is kind of the equivalent of, remember we used to drag them for PC Game Pass's UI and how terrible, like you've got to step it up. So resources need to be allocated towards that. It does scream to me that a lot of these games, they want to hit these launch targets and they're willing to sacrifice a market that I don't think is very smart. You don't want to have a reputation with PC gamers that you are a subpar port. Like as much as I give, PlayStation sometimes with Last of Us, they got Nixus. Nixus, when they do their ports for PlayStation games on PC, immaculate for the most part. You don't really hear too many issues. So they've got to fix that. And then the other thing where I gotta look, Turn, I love you, but I gotta come for you on this one. The Digital Foundry did a report of kind of like, this is how you showed it at the E3, Direct Xbox Showcase in this year when you debuted it. And here are the details on the side of the track. Here is this, the foliage. And then this is what we got now, right? And it's not that it's completely terrible, but you see a little bit of lack of detail on some stuff. And I think the second controversy from a technical standpoint is they've made a decision from a lighting standpoint during the day that looks a little soft. You know what I'm saying? And some people are like, with GT's lighting, I guess during the day is a little bit more hyper realistic and stuff like that. So look, fair criticisms, I remember, not that I pushed back against you last week, but you did have a good point about, live service and the way Xbox is operating now with the game as a platform, right? And I think it is fair to say if you're going to have this approach, you can't give people the feeling that you're just going to put out the basic and the core and then we'll add on later and fix on later. You can't have that mentality. So I think these are fair criticisms. And I won't push back on this. This is legit. I've been seeing a lot of, information regarding this type of stuff.
Defining Duke is brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace is the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether you're just starting out or managing a growing brand, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website, engage with your audience, and sell anything from products to content to time, all in one place, all on your terms. Squarespace uses a fluid engine, a next-generation website design system that's never made it easier to unlock your own creativity. It starts with the best-in-class website template and customize every single detail with reimagined drag-and-drop technology for desktop or mobile. I've personally used it before. It's fantastic. Whether you're starting your own online store in this entrepreneurial age or you want to have custom merch, Squarespace has you covered from top to bottom. You can even start to send out email campaigns when you get your whole store up and running. So there's a lot of features here for you to get started with your own business. So head to squarespace.com/Duke to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. It also allows you a free trial. Again, head to squarespace.com/Duke for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain using code Duke. Yeah, I don't want to just run back talking points from last week, but this is kind of what I've started to lean into a bit as I've watched Xbox's platform to come together, and it's been easier to do that now rather than earlier because we're getting consecutive releases. We're seeing the quality measures that are or aren't being put into place, and with Xbox really loading up for next year, I think we got to be on them right now. Some people may call it an overreaction, but I do worry about how they're making games. Their biggest claim for years was we are not making games around Game Pass, but I see the complete opposite. Even in their single player games like Starfield, like it's the way it's supported, it's the way it launched. And I know with Starfield, there's a bit of it's time to get it out. I don't know if it didn't feel like it needed any extra delays personally, whereas like Halo, something that the whole world needed out, and we've said ad nauseum how we didn't think that was the case. But you can just see that things are a little underbaked, not in quality. Like I find that Forza has been great from what I played, and Starfield has also been excellent, but there are missing features. The fact that we just got an FOV slider, we'll talk about that in a little bit, for Starfield is disappointing. Like that is a launch feature. And I said this not in defense of Bethesda, but as an explanation. My theory is I think performance has been a big target for Xbox in the terms of frame rate. And we don't want to have our system looking weak. So as long as it's running consistently, we're good. I think with Starfield, they had to lock things at 30 and they had to lock an FOV in, because when you start to pull that camera back, you're bringing in more detail, more things are happening on screen, more of a chance for frames to dip, less for Bethesda to control. With mods, originally, before they added this FOV slider, it would like go into the any settings of the game. Like it was insane. Like it was total back end work to get this camera pulled out. Obviously now we'll talk about how it's been added to the game, but these basic features have been missing on Xbox ports on PC. And especially for Bethesda game studios, that's the most disappointing part. That is your core right there. Like I know a lot of people are going to play on Xbox, but the people who are going to make Starfield relevant for over a decade, it's the platform you're neglecting. And it's weird to see Xbox kind of go in that direction, because this is your target growth right now. It's mobile and PC space. Like you want these to be your kind of strong suits. And I'm not advocating for it, but like if anything, you'd think the console player would kind of get left to the side. Like, okay, we've taken care of all 25 million of you for a lot of years now, setting things up. You're going to feast on what we've made here. And we're going to kind of devote a lot of special attention to PC. It's not as unbalanced as it was when we started doing the show together, where you could see like the Game Pass editions, like some were for a while only coming to console. Now it's a lot more uniform, which is nice. But when it comes to releasing these games, they got to be feature ready, man, on a settings front, of course, on playability. It's not acceptable when Xbox is synonymous with PC. It's not like PlayStation, who's breaking a barrier, and you could almost forgive them for The Last of Us Part 1, even though it was pretty unforgivable, like in the quality of what it released in. You could at least look at it and go, all right, they're still figuring things out maybe, but like Xbox, you've been doing this shit for a while. So the fact that we're still doing day and date PC games and we're having these types of issues or lack of functionality needs to be cleaned up.
Yeah, no, well said. And I again, I think that another factor to look at too is their desperation potentially to get things out in 2023 after what happened to them in 2022. And I'm not making excuses. You still need to drop a feature full product, and especially the PC community. So yeah, well said. I completely agree. And we have to be on them now so that they can address these things moving forward with the software lineup for next year.
Yeah. Certainly, it's something we'll be monitoring moving forward. Because again, next year, I do think it's going to be a even better year I think this has been a great year for them. I know with Redfall, there was a bit of doomer stuff. I think if the deal goes through, which it looks like it's going to, I think it'll be a pretty rousing year for Xbox overall, with a lot of new things introduced into the system. But next year, I think is going to be like a big home run. Yeah. And with so many games coming out, we're really going to have to be on top of the quality of these releases when it comes to PC. Zip Davis is our next write-in. Then we'll get into some of the news. Hello, Kazuya Kirdukes. Maddie, as someone who 100%ed every mainline Yakuza game, I highly recommend you begin your descent into the series. The emotion you will feel toward characters is unlike any other game. Start with 0 and just go in order and enjoy the ride. You can bust through, pause, he says. That's his pause moment, not me. I've been doing good this episode. You can bust through these games relatively fast if you aren't going for 100%. I look forward to any future videos you make on it. I woke up to a Mr. Matty Yakuza video, and all I could say is, wee kind of day. Yeah, a lot of the comments filled up with this when I toyed with the idea really briefly of I kind of want to do a full series dive, because I've done Kiwami 1 and 2. I never played 0, and naturally I haven't played 3 through 6. And I played Like a Dragon, and I want to connect with this series deeper, right? I want to see what it's all about, because what I had played, I wasn't crazy about Kiwami 2, but I loved Kiwami 1. That game was just so good. So I do have a lot of love for this series. I'm curious if I'm gonna get any burnout, because they all are in the same location, so many games, but I did trails. I think I'm actually gonna do this, and I'm thinking November will probably be a good starting point because I got a lot of reviews in the back end of this month into early November. But once we hit mid-November, your boy's kind of done outside of Avatar, I think, and so that is when I'm gonna really start gaining steam on some catch-up games. And this is speaking to me. Like, this is the one I'm looking at that I was like, yeah, leading into the holidays and through the holidays, I could just get down with Yakuza all the way through and just kind of indulge in that. So might be about that.
Yeah, I mean, and the man who erased his name synergizes right around that time. As far as launch, right? So,
that's what the sucky part is. I'm gonna have to miss that to start catching up.
I got you. I'll be reviewing your man and seeing
how he does.
See how he do on his little secret agent vibe. But I was feeling it when I played. I ain't gonna front.
All right, Cog. Let's get into all of the news here. First one we want to start off with here is Cyberpunk 2077, which has sold 25 million copies since its launch, with 3 million copies now sold for Phantom Liberty in its first week. CD Projekt Red has also begun a collaboration with global media company Anonymous Content to develop a live action project in the world of Cyberpunk 2077. Furthermore, Pal Sasko, Cyberpunk's quest director, said the following about a third-person mode for the game's sequel. Quote, I wanted to say that the first-person perspective is the main characteristics for Cyberpunk and its perception by the players too. It is noticeably different from The Witcher, and this helped us craft the product identity as such, but for Orion, we are yet to see, end quote. Derek Mozzarella wrote in, Hey Dukes, hope all is well. I was wondering what the Dukes' thoughts were on the fact that the news that the Cyberpunk sequel may not be first person. As someone who really likes Cyberpunk's first person exploration, gunplay, and melee combat, I feel like this would be kind of a waste to throw away everything they did in the first game to try and make Cyberpunk a just one type of game. Curious to hear your thoughts and what you hope they decide. And thanks for the great content every week, Chooms. Thank you, Derek, for writing in.
Don't say Chooms around Chris Reagan. Hate that.
Hates that word?
Yeah, he had a tweet that went almost viral. What about that? Continue.
That's funny, but Cog, I got to know, man, Cyberpunk, look at this bounce back.
Yeah.
25 million copies sold, 3 million for Phantom Liberty, which I think is the more noteworthy one. That's a lot coming in for an expansion at $30 and a busy holiday season where we were saying move your date. They didn't seem to have to. And the potential of a third person camera being added into Orion. I thought of this almost like I would appreciate if they did something like Bethesda Game Studios, because no other game really, I'm probably wrong, but I can't think of many games that let you switch between first and third person like BGS does.
Yeah, so quickly.
And it lets me feel a different flow to their games than any others. Because like when I'm running around the open world, I'm in third person.
Yeah, me too.
When I'm exploring, I'm in first. Because Starfield had no exploration. I played that entire game in first person. Yeah. But Cog, what do you think of a third person Cyberpunk? What do you think of this live action show after Edge Runners happened and the success that was there? They're investing more. And of course, the sales in general for Cyberpunk.
It is cool to see. It's such a great turnaround. And look, again, we're not condoning, the theme will be, we're not condoning broken launches and broken products and features not there, the way it was. But it was clear as day that them, having to support Xbox One and PS4 was a problem, and you see with Phantom Liberty, the graphical fidelity, you see the true vision, and it's just cool to see them continue to dedicate to turning it around, because this was one of the most embarrassing launches I've ever seen. We want to talk about it. Like, this was really bad. I felt bad for them. Their reputation was staying. So to see the turnaround, and then we all talked about right around Edge Runners, that's when I felt it was kind of really safe to go back at that point, because they had so many changes and updates then. So now, we get to where we are. You see the sales. People are really taking toward Phantom Liberty. It's playing amazing. People are loving it. The engagement is there. And now we get to where they're talking about as far as a third person. I'm kind of with my man, you know what I'm saying? Mozzarella, Derek. I like your last name. You sound like one of the boombox from Brooklyn. Derek Mozzarella, that's the guy. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, like I agree. I think that I like the uniqueness of the first person. I don't think they need to do just one. It's what they do. Only pushback I'll give the homie will be like, I do feel Cyberpunk is such a beautiful game that you should see your character a little bit more. So maybe in, like, for example, you in the cut scenes, maybe they pan to you. They never really pan to you in the cut scene, right? So it'd be good to see your character model sometimes interact like that way, but still maintain a first person view. So yeah, I'll see what this Orion thing is. I understand the creative vision though. They don't want it to be like another Witcher. They got their hashtag just one Witcher. This is a different type of energy. Cyberpunk should stay first person, but I wouldn't mind if you show more of the character during cinematics or, type of cutscenes and stuff like that.
I agree, because even cinematics would work, because the dialogue, what I really love about Cyberpunk is very immersive dialogue. Like things are always happening in real time. Like heads are following you, hand movement, that type of stuff. It never sacrifices a break in the gameplay to deliver a conversation. So it's just always engaging you. So I wouldn't want them to go full third person, but I would be about like, this isn't a spoiler, but when you get to the final cutscene in the game, you will see a third person shot of your character, which is like this moment of, wait, what? Where was this all game? So I hope they can do more of that. Definitely.
Yes, I agree.
Lies of P. I'll be talking about this a lot later, but it's getting DLC. This is confirmed on a Korean jobs board. So this is excellent to see this game doing so well. I'm seeing a lot of chit chat pick up for Lies of P, a lot of love for this game. And again, I will have much to say on it, but this is a day one Game Pass game. So it seems to be doing well. I was actually checking when I was doing my Redfall video, like what are the top played games on Xbox, and Lies of P is right in the thick of things, man.
Yeah,
Lies of P the top 25, 30 when I last looked. So
ahead of certain other things. I was like, oh boy, that's interesting. Yeah,
that's my man P.
Yeah, shout out to P. You know what I'm saying? He doing his thing. No, it's so good to see it. And again, I love, the fact that we're not dispelling any narratives, but in the sense of, quality games in Game Pass and them taking smart choices, smart risks, say, hey, you know what, this looks like something we like in our service. And it's usually a combination. It's usually like the studio themselves say, hey, we may not be sure, you know what I mean? And then Xbox saying, you know what, that looked like something my audience would like. And from every, intents and purpose of every person that has played it, a lot of people are saying it's giving them a lot of the Bloodborne feel that they wanted. That obviously we haven't had a sequel or an update to Bloodborne. So this is dope to see. Obviously it's not my style of game.
Oh, I see what you're talking about now. Lies of P is ahead of Forza Motorsport.
When you look at where Lies of P is, because again, I look at Xbox most played a lot.
Wow.
And this is a thing that I always will dispute.
Mortal Kombat 11's ahead of Forza Motorsport too. Sorry, I don't mean to keep it around.
No, we're being real. We're being real as far as the placement of things. This is a lot of daily. I got some confirmation. A lot of this is daily active use. This to me is the definitive stat. This is coming from Xbox. I don't get caught up with. I agree with Colin. I don't get caught up when they say 6 million users played, whatever. This is what I get caught up, because this is the entire platform, and this is also outside of Game Pass, as you can see. Right, we see Starfield still in the top 5. Right, single player game next to Fortnite, Call of Duty, Rainbow Six Siege, Roblox is coming on strong. Damn, Roblox, Jesus, you know what I'm saying? But if you look at Lies of P, right, it's still in that top 30 or whatever as a single player game. 30,
it looks like.
Bro, look at Gotham Knights.
Gotham Knights. Maybe we weren't wrong about that being a good day one Game Pass selection. Top 11 here.
Top 11. Gotham Knights ahead of Rocket League's Mirage. That's a big deal. It goes to show you what people are actually playing daily active. I love this statistic because it's accurate, and this to me is what Xbox uses. This is I actually researched this stat and asked people internally about this. How authentic is this stat? And I got a very strong feedback. So this is what I use to tell me the health of the platform and what's going on. That's why I don't pay nobody no mind with the Starfield stuff, because I see number 5 still. And this is what are we, a month later? Right?
Yeah, we're over a month later. Yeah.
Yeah, over 2K and over Madden and Madden season and Grand Theft and Apex and Minecraft. That's impressive.
Yeah, man, I'm actually looking at this list a little closer, and I don't want to overreact to one release kind of being soft, but when you look at a lot of day one Game Pass games and where they rank on this list, you see Dark Tide after its big update.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was day one Game Pass. Payday 3, Party Animals, and Lies of P all in the same row next to each other in top played games. And, some of these are ahead of Halo Infinite, ahead of Forza.
That's funny you said that.
Forza Horizon still in like the top 20.
Bro, which is Horizon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That game's got staying power.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lies of P getting DLC.
Salute.
John Riccitello is stepping down as CEO and president of Unity, as reported by Bloomberg's Jason Schreier. So I had a feeling this was coming after the install fee that was quite controversial among developers. We're still waiting for more updates on any potential walkbacks on that, but John is out, the man who has saying some wild stuff this year in regards to game devs. He is gone effective immediately as well. So it seems like he may have been a problematic one in the building and maybe some of the decision making here. But this is now a leadership transition, Cog. So what do you make of John being out and where Unity goes from here?
Yeah, sadly, I didn't get a chance to research this with all the medical stuff that I had going on because that kind of broke around that time. But yeah, I mean, obviously we know. I'm just gonna theorize. Obviously, we know the huge pushback against him and that policy. And when I had Peter Moore, former head of Sega, former head of Xbox, also worked at Unity, he did kind of explain the business, and he was just like, I had to challenge him, like, because here's the thing, Matty, I had to ask him a tough question because John Riccatello helped Peter Moore get over to EA, and then when he went over to Unity, Peter Moore followed. So I know that's your man, right? So I gotta still ask you, the gaming industry and developers are not feeling your man and not feeling this policy. But he did make a point that was interesting, and he just said, about the business of Unity and how maybe the model, they were aggressive because they just can't sustain it, thus an aggressive, pricing model, so to speak, to push people to that, Unity Professional, whatever that later expansion one. So again, nobody really wants to hear that, but I was just trying to explain where it's at. But yeah, this is big. I'm just curious again if this was more of a push out, he steps down, what the future direction of Unity is. We saw our man, Mark, I believe his name is Mark Whitten, who had to come out with the apology and the kind of soft rollback to the initial plan that got a lot of negative feedback. They're in a tough spot. Because even with him gone, again, according to Peter, the business model is in trouble. So, how do they stay with this rollback? We have to monitor it and see. But I know it was not well received. People really, I've never seen a unified front like this against
threatening to pull games down.
Yeah, this was bad.
Something else.
Yeah, so I got to monitor and see how Unity does. But the last thing I'll say is I want Unity to succeed because I do feel we need a competitive space with game development engines. I think that's critical. I love Unreal, don't get me wrong, but I don't want them to be the only town in shop. And we've seen how it is when one person is in control. That's why competition is always good, as far as I'm concerned.
Bloomberg has another report here that a Disney acquisition of EA has been floated around as an idea within the company as people within seek a bolder transformation into a gaming giant, but Bob Iger has been non-committal, it is said. This one I saw and was like, oh boy, that is not, let me make sure people heard me clearly. A Disney acquisition of EA, not EA getting Disney or a partnership, Disney buying EA. To become a gaming giant. Cog. Of course, as always, I don't mean to just shovel you into it, but Lord acquisition. I mean, how do you feel about this one? If Disney was to say, we're here, we're here. Is it in the sake of EA going away forever? Would you take this? Would you take this trade-off with Disney's business model with Disney Plus and whatnot? How are we feeling about this?
Look, I just find it funny because it's got to be real. In other industries, entertainment, right? Disney been out here snatching up everything, right? Fox, EA, and from what I understand, they want to be a serious player when it comes to these licenses and stuff like that. So to me, again, that's why I hate to be petty, but this is why I laugh with the whole consolidation. Consolidation been happening all around every industry. No one says anything. And it's legal. All gets approved. All these corporations, especially like Telcom, all of them consolidate. Soon as it was gaming, nah, bro, this is out of pocket. So let's just be real. I mean, again, I am not condoning. I am just giving people the reality of how this world and business is working. This has been going on for a long time, so I am not surprised by this in the least. Disney has been gobbling up. Now, whether or not you want to say it's good for the industry and the long-term effects, I can't predict the future. I can't. But what I will say, this is the last thing I'll say. I'll say the only reason why I push back with the Lord acquisition stuff, because I'm always in the realm of, is it legal and can regulators, put a stop to this based on what's going on? And everything has been legal. There's been no stop to it. Now, if you want to say, hey, the laws should change and this should, totally different argument. Mm-hmm. And obviously that's what Lena Khan and teams and other organizations are trying to do. So that's where it is. Me personally, now from a COG perspective, personal, does really nothing for me. EA is so weird because I used to love them back in the day. Then I hated them for a long time. Then they've had like a mini resurgence.
Yeah.
Disney has the properties, but I'll give the Monopoly Bros this. I will say, with the amount of properties you have, right? You have to manage correctly. You have to, and the pushback. Look at the hair go, y'all. He's getting stylish. I love it.
Were you saying something?
You was doing your L'Oreal. I don't know what it was. Fly. It was whatever was going. You was flicking the hair.
My hair was too slicked back. I was like, I gotta fix this. I'm looking.
He was in the commercial. So, I will say, look, an honest assessment of the MCU, my beloved MCU, since Disney, a little bit of a decline, losing a little bit of esteem. So selfishly, I do worry about the quality of the product from how it used to be, right? Because you got all these properties, all these movies, all these tie-ins, it does get a lot. Management and it is real. So I will always give the Monopoly Bros that. I will never say that's not true. But the last thing I'll say is EA, I'm hearing they've been looking to sell for a while. Somebody gonna buy them. So again, this is the nature of the business. All I want to say is keep the same energy. I want to see the write-ins for Disney's out of pocket, bro. I want to see the write-ins because I just see the write-ins for one of something
we actually didn't get any write-ins about this topic.
Yeah, how convenient, right? See, this is why I call not everybody. They're a legit Realm of the Dukes and LSM fam that I believe y'all care about this industry. Y'all know but there are some that I know you're frauding and you don't have the same energy for these things. This is real consolidation. Where are y'all at? That's where the picket fences, where the tiki torches. I want y'all in front of the offices saying, this is bad, FTC. I want to see that energy because y'all only do it when it's a platform y'all don't like. And I'm going to stay on y'all for your fraudery. I'm sorry.
Well, I will push back against Disney. I will take out my tiki.
Let's go. Here. My man. I respect it.
This would be awful because not really even from a consolidation point of view. I mean, Disney already owns Star Wars, Marvel. What's one more thing, right? But it's really, to me, we've seen this partnership with EA and Disney when they binded themselves for 10 years. They must have loved what each other were hearing, right? It's okay. You looked at EA, quite frankly, I know it's hindsight 2020, but when you looked at what EA had in developer talent and then a Star Wars partnership, they had DICE. And right away, everyone's head went to Battlefront, which they did. Battlefront 2 being one of the best Star Wars games after many updates made. You looked at Visceral, who was up at the time, BioWare. There was a world of run back KOTOR, run back Battlefront. You can reactivate that early 2000s run of Golden Age Star Wars games. You can just do that again. Respawn, give them Republic Commando, finally get that sequel, and so on and so forth. Nothing really came out in that stretch of time. The Star Wars license was dead. And it almost was a good thing it happened the way it did, because then I think Disney woke up and was like, we need to make strategic selections with who we partner up with, where you'd get Guardians of the Galaxy from Eidos Montreal. You would get something like Spider-Man from Insomniac. You would get Respawn in the Jedi series. And if they acquire EA, now you have this developer talent that you're going to funnel all of your IP into. And while exciting on paper, we've seen how that played out. And also, I think Disney benefits the most from having a team that operates almost as this little splinter group that just goes around and communicates with the devs and finds the right people doing the right vision. I think that's how you get the best representation of your products, because you get people who are passionate, not told to do it. And I think of Activision and Marvel as a really good example of that. There was when you look at and if anyone needs a good example of it, I covered so many of them on the Retro Rebound channel, X-Men, Spider-Man, the list goes on. Everything was published by Activision. And you could see at first, with the Raimi Spider-Man games, you got Spider-Man 2, you got Ultimate Spider-Man, you got Shattered Dimensions, like these very inspired products.
Yes.
But then you hit a point with Beanox, who is like the main Spider-Man developer, where you could just see every other game, they were just losing it, man. They were just not having the same fire because it's like another Spider-Man game. So I look at these two examples and think that Disney acquiring one gaming giant would be bad. Now, if they get multiple for their plans, I'm looking at it as that would be great for them because then you would have less issues divvying things up. But just as a consumer, looking at what was delivered in that partnership, if it worked out well, Cog, and we saw like through that 10-year partnership, like, man, EA was really putting out some good Star Wars games and lots of them. I probably be singing a different tune right now, but looking at what we saw and what we're getting now through Disney and how they've handled things, I don't want them to go through just one company because Spider-Man is one of the best, if not my favorite superhero game ever made. And I think if they're not doing these sort of seek and destroy missions, we're not going to get something like that. So I want more of that.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I think, I guess my question, and I'm not trying to be, sarcastic, is with EA, right? Because again, from everything I hear, they are trying to sell.
Yeah.
So if the great points against the Disney stuff, I hear where you're coming from. Who would you feel comfortable if the intent for them is to sell?
It's funny. I always thought that Xbox wouldn't make sense now. I don't think. When you have EA playing Game Pass and it's another Western publisher, I don't think after getting Activision, I just don't think they need EA, but I could be wrong. I mean, you get all those sports games. If that's something they need to shore up the defenses on, then they can do that. But I don't know who comes to mind.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Right?
I
mean, that's the thing is, like, would PlayStation be a good match?
It's interesting, right? It'd be an interesting partnership.
Because like a partnership more than an acquisition for Disney.
Right.
Just to make it clear, everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can go there and be honest.
Yeah, I'm not saying go acquire. I know, right? Clipboardy moment. I feel like that partnership would make sense from what we're seeing. Like there, because now clearly Disney loves what they got from the first Spider-Man. 20+ million copies sold. I think Spider-Man 2 will be well on its way to do the same thing. They gave them Wolverine.
They were very happy. Yeah, they gave it.
So they were like, take another and some on top, right? So I can see a partnership like that. That would kind of work in my eyes, but I don't know if them acquiring anyone would make sense. I know your question was really like who should acquire EA, but I don't know if like Disney's the lesser of multiple evils here. No, I know we're thinking like Tencent, Amazon,
right.
I could see Amazon.
I could see Amazon.
I could see Amazon like needing EA's
yeah.
expertise, splash move, prime mixture, something like that. Taking that out of Game Pass, EA Play out of Game Pass. I could see something along those lines too. Could go a lot of ways.
Yeah,
one of these days, some company that we care about is going to get bought by
somebody we don't like. That's all I was going to say. That's literally my whole point.
Starfield, it got an update 1.7.36, which introduces an FOV slider. For those wondering, I tested it out. It is available on Xbox as well. It's usually just a PC feature, but you can do third-person FOV slider and first-person FOV slider. If you go all the way out, some of these guns look minuscule now. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, you can go ahead and check that out. Cog, any thoughts on the update, or should we keep rolling?
Nah, keep rolling. FOV, been knowing about that for a while. Thank you for adding it. We like that a lot, but we got it.
Most of the updates have been good, so let's hope that they're going to finish out this year with delivering everything that was on that big patch note that they put out a couple weeks ago. Halo Infinite Season 5 drops on October 17th. And here are some of the new features that are being added. PvE AI is now available in Forge. Extraction mode is returning as a reimagined mode, by the way. Flood-inspired customization. New arena maps, Prism and Forbidden. Coming during Season 5 is Firefight. You can earn Battle Pass XP in custom games. Cross-core helmet customization, and a hero rank reward of the Infinite Mark 6 armor kit. All right, Cog. Let's start off with a write-in here. I'm sorry if this is KXXRO0. Hey guys, first time writing in, but long time lurker. With how good Halo Infinite Season 5 is looking with Firefight, cross-core for helmets, forgeable AI, and more coming, how likely are you guys to come back to Infinite? I've been loving it since season 4, but is it the dawn of the comeback for Halo Infinite? Only time will tell. Also, Pierre Hint really saved MCC and said, I got one more in me. Please keep this man 343 because he is saving Halo right now. I'm having a pouring my milk in the bowl and then cereal first, or pouring milk in the bowl first, then cereal kind of day. So a little out of pocket here from Zero. But
that's different.
God, we got a lot coming here. Season 5, Halo Infinite. It is in the top 50 most played Xbox games right now. I will do a Steam player count check in
that number
in real time. Just
how's that looking?
24-hour peak, 7,000 players.
Oof.
So I think if you go across all platforms and scrape everyone up, you're probably pushing 20 to 30K daily. Yeah. Cog, is this enough to pull you back in? Forge AI, I think, has a world of potential. All the offline modes there. But what do you make of everything coming to season 5? And is this enough, sir, or is it too late?
Here's the thing. Like, it's enough for me. I would play it, right? To me, these are great. What I consider the live team, right? The team that's been maintaining the day-to-day Halo Infinite, and they've been doing a good job of just slowly adding things. You know, I love cross-court helmet customization. I was complaining about that from the very beginning. How come I'm locked into a whole suit? Like, that was annoying. So, look, this is solid, right? I will come back, and I heard everybody's having fun, and it's great. The problem is we looked at that most played game, and the masses have spoken. When you have that opportunity in your zeitgeist and you get one shot with live service sometimes, right? And you miss it, and people now, the rumor is Halo is bad, they mismanaged it, right? Which is valid, right? So now people are like, we done moved on. We over here. We Apex in. We Fortnite in. We Call of Duty in. So the problem with them is until they drop, like I told you, like I call a Destiny 2 Taken King moment, where you have to drop not just this is quality of life and maps, and that's cool, but you got to have a substantial drop. You got to have that battle royale, and you got to have, which I don't think is going to happen anymore, some type of narrative PvE content. So being that we don't know that's going to happen, and it doesn't look like this kind of look like they're going to move on to the next Halo game, and this looks like maintenance for Infinite. That's how I'm reading it right now. It's a shame. So we'll see. I hope all that stuff is still planned, which we talked about with Unreal Engine and this kind of battle royale / Warzone, maybe hybrid kind of a deal. They need to have like a big splash at like the next direct to remind people, yo, we're here, mad content. And maybe look, live service could come back, but if they keep doing drops like this, only us, the hardcore, know about this. Yeah. Everybody else, the casual has moved on. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at the list. Remember, most played games, daily active users, Lies of Pete, Party Animals has more players on Xbox than Halo Infinite. Payday, which was completely broken at launch, ahead of Dead by Daylight. These are 2 games that's ahead of them. 3 games. Like, that's, Cyberpunk, I get it, Mortal Kombat. They still got a long way to go. And it's either you give that substantial content, you drop it, or you've already made the decision, we were on to Halo 7, right? And that's where it's at. So I'm curious internally how they handle it. Because what did they say officially? That Halo will never die? What was the official statement by Kurt and them? They were like, we're still working on Halo. Because that was the thought when people thought it was like going to be dead.
Oh, they might move the IP from them, that they're going to continue working on it in the future, yeah.
Right. So we'll see. I mean, what do you think? I mean, does this bring you back? Does this, like, how are you feeling about Halo Infinite right now? Because I heard people say it's really good right now.
Yeah, I actually fired it up and played some, and I mean, it's still a ton of fun, which is, I guess, all that matters in a PvP game. I think when it comes to the maps and the modes that are there, like, you'd be surprised if you fire it up, for those who haven't in a while, how long that list goes, how many new maps you'll find, community and not community based. There is a lot of new stuff there to see, and I think this update adds some of the more substantial requested features. You could kind of feel the feature drip feed that helped Halo Master Chief Collection along, but I don't feel we're seeing the explosion back like we did with MCC. And I was really racking my brain on why that's the case. And I do think part of a comeback story is the desire to have one, which I know people don't want to hear, but I think Cyberpunk's a great example. Like people want, like think of the hype for that game going launch. People wanted that to be amazing. Whereas Halo Infinite, the narrative was stapled on it so quickly out the gate. And I think the hardest thing to shake off with Infinite is that they just had such a tumultuous falling out within their own company on a public stage, you know, from main faces leaving, Joe Staten leaving, the head of the company, Bonnie, leaving. Everyone is out. And now we're seeing it's a bit of an overturn, and that it could set up the franchise for brighter days, but that's where people are kind of at. And I think that's why it is the case. Is we don't know if we're getting a new Cyberpunk for a long, long while, but people have kind of, I think, made their bed and lied in it a bit with the idea of, yeah, we'll get another Halo soon enough, and we'll see what they do then. I think Halo Infinite absolutely could have been one of Xbox's biggest games. It could have been one of their most played titles when it came to like higher, like top 20, top 15 consistently, like where Forza Horizon 5 is. But I think this is mismanagement. Now, I know some people are going to, because I know our audience, by the way, is not even just sort of defining Duke. Like I read the patron Discord. I know the passion for Halo. I see people getting pissed at these types of takes all the time. But I mean, the numbers to me are singing a different tune. You know, these are great features, but I still feel like I'm almost waiting on something big, like PvE AI is available in Forge. Just like when Forge was added in, it's the same thing. Like, okay, now we're going to start getting something down the line. We're still like in that punting it stage. Right. Extraction mode, new maps, great stuff there. But I'm going to do a 2023 re-review of Halo Infinite. I have it in my holiday plans because I think it'll be a fun sort of experiment here to see what's there and do a true deep dive. But I'm not denying the game's fun. I'm not denying the content that's being added is bad or it lacks value. I'm not saying that any of that. I'm just saying that I don't think this is going to be enough unless I think COG's on the money. You do a massive move on a narrative level, because Halo's one of the few shooter games people care about with story. Yes. It truly is. And the last thing I'll say before I kick it back to you is we're in MW3 season. Nostalgia is high. And I have not played the beta, but like, look, those MW2 maps all being there, a lot of people have made up their mind for the holiday shooter. Okay. And I mean, there's others in Game Pass that are available. There's co-op shooters that are getting more play, like Darktide. The benefit of the Xbox platform is more options. Yes. And that does mean that sometimes Xbox's own child will be skipped for something else because you have the benefit of options. You're not locked into this game. So yeah, I think that's where it lies, where this is a great update. Like I said, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm planning on doing a full review of it. So nice. I'll be playing more. What I played is great. I never said the game was bad, but
absolutely.
I don't think this is going to be the dawn of a massive comeback. And that's when you're saying that it's season 5, it makes you wonder like, okay, how much longer? But I think, you remember you mentioned with PlayStation, like there's one trailer away from making you forget. I do think Infinite is like, if they came out and had a massive expansion with a massive season 6 or 7, whatever it may be, I think that would turn some heads. And that's the thing. They haven't had a head turner announcement. If you're in the ecosystem, it's like, okay, cool. Nice. Oh, they're adding that too. Nice. But if you're on the outside, you're not listening to this show, be real with yourself. Is this anything you're snapping your head going, yo, AI in Forge? Like, yeah, of course that's cool. Of course we're going to get some awesome modes, but it's going to be Twitter video fodder. We know that. What's going to drive players? They need the head turner. Cog, sorry, go on.
No, bro, you preach it. You on fire. That's where I'm at. Like that. Here's the thing. Like, I am hoping I am wrong in that when season 5 drops, because in fairness, it has not dropped yet, right? So when it drops, I'm curious to see, again, we're going to go to our statistic, right? Most play game. We're going to see if it bumps up, and maybe we're wrong and there is an internal resurgence on the platform. That would be dope to monitor, right? But I'm with you. The outside person, they're not there. And here's the major indictment. And I know, Rum and the Dukes, they get on us too. And all the Halo bros, they get on us like, yo, you guys are too hard. The game is amazing. And it is amazing to play. But the reality is the numbers say what the numbers say as far as engagement. But here's the indictment. You're free to play. you are free to play multiplayer and people ain't playing you.
Yeah.
That's bad, bro. Especially with the PC was supposed to be the shot in the arm. That was supposed to be, you supposed to get all these players. So that's why I'm going to stay on it. Listen, as a Destiny fan who's been through dark times, it's not until they had they did all these updates like y'all guys doing. Hey guys, we got new maps. Hey, the new powers, the new suit. We fixed all the little minor things you're mad about. That's great. Until I saw that trailer and I said, oh, new story content, huge expansion, all these features, more modes. Okay. And I'm going to tell you how you come back. You drop it at the next Xbox showcase.
Yeah. You drop eyes on it. That's the other thing. They're not putting eyes on it.
You come out, you do the mea culpa, Halo, means so much to the history of Xbox. This is what we want to show you starting this year. You guys get, Battle Royale Warzone, blah, blah, blah. I'm really stretching, but, and you get, lock season episode content or whatever. I'm making up whatever, some narrative story, little season beat. PvE beat for the guy, because he clearly probably don't want to do Master Chief until the next Halo. Fine, but give us something. Give it the other team. Where the other team members are
told on Infinite.
Yeah, man. Give us a new character that's like, yo, you want to know the story of this Spartan that's going on during the same time? Give us some, and that's how you go. Oh, and the world sees it back in addition to what you've been doing now, which is modes, Forge, AI, customization, live service. You do that in a complete package, and you name it. Halo expansion of the blah, 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 right? You do that nice graphical package, bro, you're going to get people to go, oh, yeah, you know what? Yeah. It's time to fire that bad boy back up.
And maybe they're just not ready for that.
Exactly.
We'll see, I think at the end of the day, we don't want to drag it too hard because we'll see what the numbers are when Season 5 drops.
With Season 5, yes.
But if they end up being soft, and even if they end up being better, I still think they need to have that waving the flag moment, not of surrender, but like, we're here. And I should say planting the flag. Yeah, I should say planting the flag. You should just fucking give up 343.
just give up, guys.
Yeah. Just fucking punt it to the next
Plant. There we go.
Plant the flag.
Plant the flag.
And make a statement, right? And I don't know, because we've said before, and I don't want to go back on it because I think it still stands true. I like that they're kind of keeping quiet, keeping to themselves. And I'm hoping it's because when they have something to say of note, that they use the big platform. And I do hope it's the showcase, right? I know that means we're punting things to next June, but I wonder about the developer direct if it's in a myriad of other things where it's like, some people will catch the direct later, but like the showcase is the heartbeat of Xbox's year, right? That's a year to come right there. If Halo's a big part of that, I think it'll pull a lot of people, pull a lot of attention across the industry, not just Xbox, because Xbox just like, I don't watch every state of play, right? Because the side of the industry I cover and focus on is Xbox, but it's much of the same for PlayStation fans or Nintendo fans. I don't have an Xbox, so I'm going to watch the developer direct. Like I might just see what other games are there. So the showcase brings everyone in. So I hope they're waiting for that kind of moment. And if so, then it's wise what they're doing. I agree. I like that they're not trying to draw too much attention to themselves, but still good updates here.
Good stuff.
Jez Corden spoke on a partnership with Square Enix and elaborated more. Quote, I was initially thinking it's just going to be games like Octopath Traveler 2. It's going to be Pixel Remaster maybe and Final Fantasy 14. I don't think it's going to be any of the heavy hitters like Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Rebirth, 16. But I've heard that it actually could be full-blown everything. So I'm hearing positive things about that. So stay tuned. It's just going to take time because those games haven't been in development, but now maybe they will be. End quote. The word of Jez has never steered us wrong here, Cog, but this is bold. He's mentioning Rebirth 16 to me being kind of the eyebrow raiser here. And again, this goes, I might be running back an old talking point here. I think this goes to Square Enix's financial position. It's a necessity now for them because they've had so many underperformances. And so with 16, they've now confirmed it's sold to expectations, which is awesome to see. Mm-hmm. So now you go for the long tail. That's why they're doing the PC launch. Then maybe you do Xbox. Maybe you do them together. Or you stretch it out more and you get the Game Pass bag in 2 years, right? Like Square is going to get to work now. Where I'm really interested to see this era of Square Enix where I think this is more than ever, they're going to be mercenaries, taking everybody's money. Oh, you want an exclusive? Oh, you want a Game Pass deal? Like they're just going to secure the bag where they can. But Cog, what do you make of what Jez had to say here?
Yeah, this is my thought process, right? This is exactly what I thought was happening. And even though Final Fantasy 16, they're saying, sold to expectation, we have to be real. Them as a company have not been doing well. And they went through a top level shift, right? New CEO. And when you do that, you're looking to really tighten up and correct, financial situation that you got going on in that building. So I look at it like, again, once I saw Square on that stage with Phil, that was symbolism. And it was Square that was saying, we are looking to bring, it wasn't Phil saying, hey, we hope to get some games for you. No, Square was like, no, we're going to work on getting Xbox games, over there, our games over there. So once I heard that, the directive has changed. The mercenary, exclusive days of just eliminating platform, it just didn't work out for them in that last regime. And I think they have a fundamental shift. So yeah, I see 16, I see 7. It's fine. I finally believe it because that was what it took from me. Because other than that, they were operating on their own time. So this is big. The question will be obviously development time, how long it's going to take to have Xbox versions. And then also the question will be after the 16, the 7 rebirth and all of that, future, what I consider heavy hitter Square games. Final Fantasy 17, right? The question for me will be, will they now be day and date moving forward? Right? That's going to be the question for me. But I'm with you. I think that, like, for example, even if 16 doesn't drop immediately when the exclusivity ends, I do think they're going to be a lot of back end Game Pass bags. And they're going to take that. They're going to take that money. So yeah, I think this is a fundamental shift. Finally, we're here. That's all I care. It was just bothering me. Like, you're giving us Crisis Core, but we don't got 7. Like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So you're giving us Octopath. So now we're course correcting. Cog is happy. Let's go. Because I love their games, and I want them. I don't want Square to go. I really like a lot of Square games. I don't want them to go away. So do what you got to do, and you need the Xbox platform.
GameStop was doing a sale, and this is the one thing I'm nervous about this new era of Square, because I bought the new Star Ocean game and the DioField Chronicles. Yeah. I bought both those games for like $10 each. And I'm like, $10 each. Like, wow. These are pretty new games too.
Yeah,
but
wow.
Got them for dirt cheap. And like, these are both Square Enix published games. And I like that they do these weird little titles.
Me too.
And they've said they're going to focus more on, I think they said HD games, big budget games. And so those types of titles are going to be a thing of the past soon. And I don't know if like Star Force has done so well that it's earned itself big budget. So I feel like we're going to be losing out on an era of Square Enix that made them so desired on the platform, which is like, yo, bring us these little niche JRPGs, right? Bring us like Paranorma Sight, bring us these weird kind of little games you do. But now it's going to be like the big ones. And so we'll see what that ends up becoming. But Cog, this one I'm really excited to get your thoughts on here.
Mm-hmm.
According to 2 anonymous sources connected to this report, Daedalus' public apology for the state of Lord of the Rings Gollum was released was put out by publisher Nacon behind the developer's back. And the absolutely insane part is it was written with the AI tool ChatGPT. So that little graphic that we saw go out, by the way, that had typos in it, which I thought was really weird when I covered it. I was like, what do you mean? How did you fuck that up too? Like, is this just a testament to how bad of a job you did here? But now we know AI tool did it. ChatGPT wrote a studio apology here and they put it out. I'm sorry, but if like Nacon, there's no sincerity behind anything they do anymore. Just by the fact that they fucking thought, let's give this a roll. Like, let's use AI here, right? Like, we can't even bother. This has been a disaster for us. We can't even bother to write an apology. We gotta let someone else do it. Just ask ChatGPT. Can you just fire this up? Because I will ask if what it gives us for a defining Duke apology right now. Go ahead, give us your thoughts.
Bro, this is beyond embarrassing. Like, it's disgusting. Like, at the end of the day, like, first of all, you went behind the developer's back. Then you have the pre-canned AI response. You don't even have the sincerity. You literally dropped the worst Lord of the Rings game literally ever made. And it's just a disservice to the base. It is such a disrespectful move. And low-key, I'm glad they got exposed, because it's just like, bro, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like that. And you know what's crazy? you know how we all, I think I had this, I forgot who I had this conversation with. I think it was Chris Reagan, but I think we did a crossover. And it was kind of like, we're getting to the point when we see failed launches. You notice all the apologies sound the same?
Yeah.
It's that graphic with the tweet and over the background, and it's like, yeah, we didn't live up to expectations.
I wonder why they all sound the same now.
I'm wondering why there's all this uniformity amongst all these different apology statements. So this is wow, mind blowing. I know we're going to talk to Colin. I'm going to talk to Colin soon. He feels very strongly against a lot of this stuff, and this is bad. This is bad. There's no sugarcoating it. I've never seen that. So yeah, this is not something that I condone.
All right, let's see here.
You pulling it up, right? Typos.
All right, so I asked ChatGPT. I said, "Can you write an apology about defining Duke and Xbox podcast for me?"
What is it?
I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing to offer my sincere apologies for my recent behavior and comments regarding the Defining Duke Wait, no, this is apology about what was said about a podcast on.
Oh, okay.
Can you write me an apology about something bad we did?
Okay.
On Defining Duke. Sorry, this is totally necessary.
We got to see what they come up with. You know what I'm saying?
All right, let's see what ChatGPT. We're in real time doing
real time
what they did. So let's see what they crank up here. Okay. Okay, holy shit, this is so good. I'm writing to offer a heartfelt apology for the recent incident on the Defining Duke podcast, where our actions or comments had a negative impact. Look how vague that is alone.
Love it.
I deeply regret the consequences of our behavior and the potential harm it may have caused. We understand that the Defining Duke podcast is a platform dedicated to fostering meaningful discussions and insights in the Xbox gaming community. Our actions did not align with the principles of professionalism, respect, and constructive criticism that the show represents. We acknowledge the disruption and disappointment this may have caused to both the podcast team and the audience. We are genuinely sorry for any offense, confusion, or disruption we may have caused. It was never our intention to detract from the quality and integrity of the podcast or to upset the listeners. We are committed to learning from this experience and taking steps to ensure that such incidents don't occur again in the future. We value the Defining Duke podcast and the important role it plays in the Xbox gaming community. And we want to continue to be a supportive and respectful part of this community. Actions speak louder than words, and we are taking this opportunity to reflect on our behavior and how we can make amends. We are dedicated to fostering a more positive and constructive atmosphere in our interactions with the podcast and its listeners. We understand that trust and respect are earned, and we are willing to work hard to rebuild any trust that may have been eroded. We deeply appreciate the work you put into the podcast and are committed to being better contributors moving forward. We hope that you can accept our apology and that we can continue to be a positive presence in the Defining Duke podcast community.
Bro,
how incredible is that? Does that not sound like shit you've seen online?
Absolutely. That's 100% the playbook right there. Like, and it was so lengthy but vague enough that it could apply to anything, to any kind, because there's no specifics to what we did and what we feel sorry for or what we're apologizing for. But it goes to show you, like someone say, "Yep, finished." Send that bad boy out. We're good. Minus the typos.
Over it. Yeah. Flavor of the week, right?
Hilarious.
So never use an AI chat tool to apologize on behalf of a bad video game. Lesson learned.
Lesson learned.
Assassin's Creed Mirage has some impressive stats revealed. Its launch player numbers are in line with Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey, and it's the biggest new-gen launch of any Ubisoft game in sales for PS5 and Series consoles. So speaking of top-played games, Mirage is right there in the thick of things. Top 20, I believe, top 15. So it's doing really well, despite any reviews maybe critiquing it, who go by the name of Mr. Matty.
Yes, Matty has bars.
But I'm happy to see it doing well, because this shows to me that this franchise has real staying power and that people get excited for the next Assassin's Creed, especially because it's not annualized anymore. So when it comes around, it's more special. It's more exciting. But it looks like Cog will be talking about AC Mirage in a little bit. So is there anything you have to say here on these stats, or shall we save the bars for later?
Yeah, just, look, Assassin's Creed is still huge. The name power, the brand power is still there. So, I was a little surprised because obviously it's a change to form, which I'll go into later. But, good for them. This is still moving out here. We see the engagement.
Last one, and then we'll get into what games are playing. In a statement, Paradox CEO Frederick Wester admitted the Lamplighter League's commercial performance has been a, quote, big disappointment, end quote. Here is the full quote. The Lamplighter League is a fun game with many strengths, even though we see cautiously positive player numbers and subscription services, i.e. Game Pass. The commercial reception has been too weak, which is frankly a big disappointment. Game projects are by their nature always risky, but at the end of the day, we haven't performed at the level we should. It is painful, but makes us more eager to roll up our sleeves and do better, end quote.
Yeah.
So you talked a lot about this one last week, Cog. You sound like it was a bright spot on Game Pass. What do you think the cause of this failure was? Because to me, I think it's a mix of marketing and release timing, but what do you get out of this?
Same. I just think that you didn't really hear too much about it. Obviously, Game Pass, addition, but I don't know what their budget is. I didn't really see too much marketing about this game. The release was just brutal. It was just around too much. And it's to the point now, it's like, I can't get too mad at companies now because it's like, when do you release this? Everything is around you. Everything. Mortal Kombat, this one, Forza, Cyberpunk, Starfield. Like, it's minefields all over the battlefield. And it's like, you got to pick your poison. So I just got to be real. This is the one that hurts my heart, but I got to be real. As Lord of Turn-Based, it's tough for us out here. It's really tough unless, you even Midnight Suns, who had this huge Marvel IP, right? They didn't get the commercial success, right? So
yeah, these types of games, man. We talked about that with Marvel. It's funny you bring that up. Sorry, go on.
No, you're right? It's like it as much as it pains me to admit it, it's still a level of niche, and the hardcore, the casual gamer still, outside of the JRPG that's a Final Fantasy with the big, bombastic splash that they'll dip their toe in on some turn-based level, it's still a long ways up. And I'm still, I think to me, who did it best commercially, Ichiban Kasuga, because
I thought you were going to say XCOM or something. I was like, all right.
Nah. Because again, that's for the most part, it's some aspects of turn-based, but it's a form of turn-based. And you got to be bombastic. You got to be cinematic. I thought Gears Tactics did a good job of that, right? I don't know how Gears did.
You're either bombastic or you're classic, like Octopath. Yes. Like you got to be one of these two pockets.
One of the two.
Stars. Like you got to be in one of these two. But like the tactics-based, turn-based stuff isn't working right now.
It isn't. And here's the thing. The last thing is, when you're doing your tactics turn-based, you got to be flashy. You got to be over the days of the old school standing in there, Overwatch with the cone and all of that. Like, that's to us traditionalists. But the casual, he wants to see, like, one thing Midnight Suns did, you see the cinema, you see, here comes Iron Man flying through, red neon, you know what I'm saying? Boombastic. You got to really cinematic this thing out and make it. And a lot of these teams may not have that budget to do that. So I think that's the evolution of turn-based, to be flashing and push it forward. So I feel bad because I thought, Lamplighter League, I was talking about it last week. It's amazing. Like, I really like that game. So I hope, like I said, that, that this doesn't deter them from the genre, but they come back strong. But I'm supporting, I think the game's great.
Yeah, Deofield Chronicle, we talked about it earlier, is another example. I'm looking here. It sold 6,415 copies, physical copies, within its first week of release in Japan, making it the 8th best-selling retail game of the week in that country, which is probably the target country and probably one of the best platforms to get it on. So Lamplighter League had an all-time peak on Steam of 773 players, only 144 reviews on Steam 8 days after launch. So yeah, honestly, without Game Pass, I don't know where this game would be, because I never even heard of it until I saw it coming into Game Pass.
Fact. I didn't even know about this game until it was in Game Pass.
Well, that's all the news for right now, Cog. It's time to talk about what we're playing. We both have pretty diverse lists here. I'd love to hear from you first, as always, sir.
Yeah, man. Mirage came across my feed. So you know what? Let's give it a shot. I'm the target audience. I'm the guy who wants to go through and, learning about the world of Basim and all this. And I didn't even know he was connected, because obviously I did not play Valhalla. So I did not know any connection to this character at all. So look, this is what I feel. I feel like the story is, for the most part, basic. You try to figure out his way in the world and stuff like. Oh, shout out! They got my homegirl in there though. Shout out to his master. That voice actress,
Rosham or something.
Oh my, her voice. She's been in Destiny. Like her voice just soothes me. It's a very cultural. I forget where she's from. I love her voice, and it's powerful. All right. So when I saw her, I was, all right, he's got a good teacher, he's got a good master kind of thing. Look, this is traditional cock. This is traditional stealth. I love that aspect. I'll push back on Mr. Matty Plays. I like that he can't fight. I like that he's not some brawler. True, you did say it. You just wanted more tools, which is fair later on when they put you in impossible situations. I've been singing your praises on ILP because you and you know who's in complete alignment? One of my writers from LawrenceGaming.net, his name is Ty. And shout out to Ty, that's fam. And Ty said the same thing. Ty was like, look, I get going back to the roots, but where me and you agree, you could go back to the essence. But it was like they were so scared to add any advancement to the old thing. And it was just like, just give them the old thing, they're going to be happy. Just give them the old mixtape.
Playbook from like 08 or 07 and just went, run it back every step of the way. They didn't evolve anything.
They didn't evolve. So it's like you could still add small nuances to this stealth. You didn't have to be so scared and so safe. You're going to give us the exact old way of doing it. And that's the thing. But this is my hope. Because I do think there's potential. This is how I look at it, and I said it to Solve. I want this to be like the Call of Duty bros. Like there's going to be the Valhalla and the Odyssey dudes. I call y'all the Modern Warfare. Y'all want outside skill tree. Y'all want that. Cool. Let me be a Black Ops Assassin's Creed bro where I'm stealth. It's not about fighting, and you could do this alternate every other year kind of thing. Make Mirage in that genre the stealth joint, but improve upon it. Now you've given us it. We're happy that you went back to it, but just give us some little slight evolutions to the formula to modernize it. That's all I got to say. But look, I still like it. I don't mind that it's a short experience. As you go on, like about 4 or 5 hours, as you go on, it starts to the redundancy on certain things, he starts to show its hand a little bit and talk to the person here and, do the thing here. Like, I get it. They just got a little too safe. I still like it. I will finish it. Shout out to them for at least bringing the genre back. Because I do want, to me, that is Assassin's Creed, though. Stealth, taking. I love Merkin, bro. I love being in the corners of the shit. I love that.
They're such a scared developer, though, in my eyes. It's sad to see because, like, Unity scared them so much that even the good things from Unity, they just ditched. Like the fact that only in that part of the series did they have this almost Splinter Cell blacklist level design where it's take out this target and you can take them out. And here's a list of ways you can take them out. And here's like optional objectives you can do during the assassination mission. Like the fact that all of that was left to the past because they're scared of a repeat disaster like that again, or they're scared to evolve AC1 in meaningful ways. They're scared to evolve Far Cry, which at least what we heard on paper for 7 sounds pretty good to me. Like if it's what they're talking about there, that may actually be a really good time. But like AC1, they're afraid to evolve. Far Cry 6 felt like they just refused to evolve from 3. This is a very stagnant company. So this was like a big leap for them, a leap of faith, if you will, to like actually do stealth-focused Assassin's Creed again. So to see the success we talked about earlier is definitely good because I want them to evolve on this more. If they do, I imagine whatever they do next, I'll be a big fan of. Because my big thing, big button heads with these Assassin's Creed fans lately, it seems. Because they're like my review was really well received, especially for the numbers it did. Like I was really happy it was well received. But there was like a lot of people who also had that energy of like, no, this is a miss, bro. Like everyone's been asking for this to come back and now it's back and you want something else. You don't know what you want. And all I'll say to those who say that shit is running back the same thing from 07 and just doing it again in 2023. That's not nostalgia, but that's just not doing anything. Like you just went and said, what do we do there? Okay, do it again. What do they do here? Okay, we'll do it again. Like the pickpocketing, the eavesdropping, the tailing. I like that you can bring back those little bits, but find creative ways to make it interesting. Like when it gets to the assassination mission, maybe less on rails. Like there's maybe the city activities. Okay, well, collecting things in 2007 was a thing, a popular thing. It's 2023. what can we do more? And they're like, no, give them historical sites, add to the codex. It's like, that could be one thing, but like, what happened to the murder mysteries in Unity? What happened to gang wars in Syndicate? What happened to the big battles that you'd see in AC3, the homestead in AC3, or the fact that naval missions were a side thing in AC3?
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I think people have gotten so away from what core AC was that y'all, the OGs, may have forgot the shit that Ubisoft added on top of the base experience, because while it was the same through Assassin's Creed 1 all the way up to 3, what we did get were new little side things.
Yes.
That's what made these worlds distinct and alive and fun. Think of it like Yakuza.
Yes.
I know y'all out there seem to like Yakuza a lot, right? You're in that same, like Kamurocho, but the mini games are different. Kind of evolve the combat, but it's like the world feels different because of what's within it. And so Mirage missed that big time. And so I hope they do evolve on it. But any other thoughts you have on it?
No, that was pretty much it. It's just, again, I just feel it was a very safe decision. They were nervous.
Yeah.
Now that they got the positive reception, hopefully they take the feedback, do exactly, what was said. And I think I would like, if it's not going to be an annualization of this, a biannual stealth version of Assassin's Creed with evolutionary steps, and I'm good, because the beauty of the series did evolve for the better overall, Assassin's Creed. However, I just felt they lost their way with no more stealth. So you can evolve it and still keep a stealth aspect to this version of Assassin's Creed, and then that's the happy medium for me, and I'm in. But I want to support Mirage because they're going for stealth, so that's always that. And then gotta go back home, man. Starfield, baby. I still love this game. And it really showed again. I'm hospitalized. I had 4 to 5 hours. You saw what I sent you what I was doing with my pick. And the new game plus, what I'm doing now is I'm finding a lot of fun. First, damn, I can't spoil that. I can't say that. All right. So what I will say is I'm having these new objectives that I personally want to do. And it's involving ships, right? That's the first thing. Like, obviously my piloting is ill, my targeting and all that stuff is ill. And I got some ships now based on certain quest lines and certain things that I'm really, really feeling. I've built out a crew, my whole vision of Star Trek Enterprise. I got a what you call shield specialist. I've got a couple of very unique companions who their role is so specific. And what I'm learning is how it boosts passively skill sets. I found also this doctor, this medicine chick, who is, again, I'm finding very unique. I've been going through the companion part and really filling out that aspect. The other thing is I've really went into a manipulation bag as far as skillship and leadership, as well as my pistol game is crazy. So I've got like this super sneak and then high pistol damage kind of build that is crazy. I'm having a ball playing this stuff. So yeah, there's a couple of new quests there's a bunch of quests that in my first run, it was just overwhelming. So I wanted to get to the story at some point, but now I'm really just taking where the universe takes me. And there's so many new quests. There's a quest right now that I am helping out it's like 4 galactic families, and they're having this issue where spacers have come and taking their satellites away as bait so they can't communicate with each other. But if you go to repair these satellites, the galactic beef that you bet, I'm telling you right now, your ship game better be right, because I was getting destroyed. I was like, oh no, not like this. Oh no. So I had to go, and now shout out to Ryujin. There's a joint in there. I think it's called Lavarwall. It's a class C. That's crazy. And then the thing about the Varwall, I think that's the name of it, the Narwhal or the Varwall. It's mad bread. You got to have like hundreds of thousands. I spent the whole check on this thing. The thing that's dope is not only is it a multi-level ship, but if you're a guy like me that likes to be on the go, you've got workbench in there. You've got the pharmaceutical lab. You got every craftable thing on different levels of the ship. So it's like my Star Trek Enterprise Plus. I can do everything on the go. I don't have to go to the what you call it? The what's the joint in the Atlantis? The lodge, whatever. I don't got to go. So I'm loving this joint. So I'm on my ship thing right now. It's something I've gotten into I haven't gotten to the base building, but I've gotten into this like ship collector thing. And there's certain quest lines that when you beat them, you get shout out to Stroud Eklund. There's a joint. I highly advise you guys talk to Walter on the side. He got some flavor. So if you right now I'm in my shit bag, man. I'm addicted to the game. I can't stop. And the last thing I will say is shout out to the Freestar Collective, because really doing that with Sam Cole and his affiliations and his dialogue on every aspect of that quest is really good. There's some characters who are perfect to take with on certain quests, and there's others do not take them with. But yeah, that's where I'm at. So then I'm gonna probably rock with Barrett next. I really haven't rocked with him, so I just want to do Sam Cole.
He's hilarious. Just this side quest.
Yeah. That's what I heard. Everyone telling, even Gene, when we did the episode, Gene was like, "Bro, I've never rocked with Barrett because can't say that." That's another spoiler. I can't say that, but I can't. Anyway, this go around, I'm gonna rock with Barrett. That's all I'm gonna say. That's why, because it's so much I can't say. It's literally spoilers.
Yeah. So well, that's just your playing. So for me, switch gears a bit. Got a little time here because I was trying to review Lords of the Fallen, but couldn't get a key for that. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not reviewing Spider-Man 2. I'll do impressions on Retro Rebound because I do so many Spider-Man videos there. But I have this window where I was like, okay, like I organized a list of games. Like I got really into it. I was like, okay, what do I want to beat for this year? What do I have to review? What am I playing now that's kind of like not done or like midway through? So I picked up one new one and then resurrected one playthrough. You may remember I talked about one of these games previously before. Want to start with a new one though.
Let's go.
Lies of P.
Let's get it. I'm dying to know.
This is also one I tried to review, but get a key. Something with these Souls like they must think I have skill issues or something, man. Couldn't get my hands on this one, so I had to punt it, which was really upsetting because Bloodborne is my favorite Souls like, and Lies of P just looked very Bloodborne inspired. So I have downloaded it. I've played about 10 hours of it now. Dude, this is shaping up to be a good top 3-er for the year.
Oh, wow.
It is really good.
Wow.
I am very impressed. And I wonder if you would dig it only because the world building, I think is better than what FromSoft does. I'm just going to keep it real. But I have to say, Cog, the way they handle boss fights, you can summon a specter, you can bring a buddy in. Like like when I say buddy, I mean like a AI buddy.
I know.
But it's done, it's easier.
Okay.
And so like it might be more up your alley in that way.
Okay. Let's Game Pass. I need to fire it up. Stop being scared.
Yes, I think you would appreciate it a lot because this world, I know people probably don't want me to talk about like the mechanics of the game, but this world, Cog, is so wholeheartedly engrossing from an artistic level to a lore level. They have knocked it out of the park. When it comes to the world, what's happening is there's this thing ongoing called the Puppet Frenzy. So all of these kind of mechanical dolls are just walking around. There's dead people everywhere. And you're trying to uncover who caused the Puppet Frenzy. Why is it happening? At the same time, there's a term for it that I don't remember right now. It's a plague, though, that was infecting the humans. And they made this thing called Cure-All to try to tackle that. And so this world just getting hammered from every angle. And so as you're exploring this city, you're going through, it's very dense buildings, like just interiors beautifully decorated, beautifully lit. So many little readables, but the way they handle them is with elegance. You could tell with the way things are designed in this game, before I even talk gameplay, the way things are designed, like they had to have had one screen Unreal Engine, one screen Dark Souls and Bloodborne. Like just, I'm not even kidding. The stuff they did, they were students of the game here. And I don't want to say they copied them in a negative connotation, but they really looked at what FromSoft did. And like, I've always championed Neo 2 as being like the best FromSoft competitor. It stands on its own more. But if you told me, if you handed to someone who likes FromSoft games, but isn't maybe super knowledgeable about the industry and the companies made it, if you handed them Lies of P, says, "This is the next FromSoft joint. It's here. Check it out." they wouldn't fucking know the difference.
Wow.
I'm not kidding,
High
man.
praise.
Like
High
from
praise.
feel to design to the way the story is handled. I mean, just so FromSoft. But I don't want that to take away from what the game does really well to stand out on its own. So it has a lot of cool mechanics. For the combat, it's very parry focused, very dodge focused. So it's like a mixture of Sekiro and Bloodborne. You don't have to parry, but like the idea is to get this stamina down on the enemy, and their health bar will turn kind of like it'll be surrounded by a white, and you'll hit them with a strong attack, and they'll take a knee, and then you'll do this like gangster beat down on them.
Fail on them.
Just hit the hell out of them.
Nice.
But then you'll get this thing called the Legion Arm Cog, and like you can change this thing to electrocute enemies. Like you can charge it up and shoot it. You can use it as a grapple gun, where now you can like go onto buildings, but you can pull enemies in or pull yourself to enemies. There's this one finisher where you do straight up out of Attack on Titan. People will know what I'm talking about, where you go up in the sky and like both blades are up vertically like this, and you come straight down on the enemy. Like just amazing stuff here. So there's a lot of flexibility there. You can take it's very build focused. So I'm building technique focused right now. And what I'll do is take the handle of like a police baton and I'll put like a rapier blade on it. And so it'll be a kind of funky looking weapon, but because I have a particular handle, that skews it towards a particular statistic. So you might have strength focus or mobility focus, or in my case, technique focus. And so you can interchange all these weapons. So instead of like what Bloodborne does, where you can switch forms, every weapon can be matched together. So I found a fire axe. So I could put an axe on a broadsword handle. You could just make these monstrosities.
That's crazy.
So it's awesome because, again, you're looking at your stats and then what stats match up with what weapons. You can go, man, I really like the damage on that. I like how it swings, but that handle doesn't let me use it for my build. Now it's like, oh, swap that out, put the blade on there. Okay, now we're good to go. Right now I'm rocking with the broadsword. Little bit slower, but I gave it a technique crank, so it's really skewed towards technique. So I'm hitting enemies for like 300-400 damage, 500, 600. Like I am whopping that
chunk.
Yeah, it is awesome. There's other little details I appreciated, like if you're beating up a bunch of puppets, you'll be covered in oil. If you beat up these monsters, you'll be covered in like a green blood. And if you kill humans, you'll be covered in red, right? So that was one of my favorite elements from Bloodborne, is like you're walking around and you're soaked in blood. And this game kind of takes that and gets creative with it. That's where the world building kicks in. It's like, oh, it's oil. Like, oh, okay, I get it. But yeah, man, just there's a moment in like the 5th hour of the game where you're running through this entire city. And I'll just say there's a moment you get to above it and you see everything they've built and how interconnected it is and how much sense it made and how you got to where you are. And it's easily one of, if not the best designed game this year. Like it is. I'm so impressed with Lies of P, and the fact that this is day one Game Pass. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me, bro? It is. They're knocking it out of the park, man. And it's like a rookie of the year situation here, man. We're going to start saying Ji-Won Choi, director of this game, rookie of the year. I think they ported like a Crimson Desert or something like that. Like they did a port job, and this is like their first legit game at NeoWiz. Rookie of the year, man. This dude came out and just dropped one of, if not the best game of the year. Lies of P is awesome. I cannot get enough of it. I'm always thinking about it. That's why you may see the ROG Ally has been broken out.
I see the Ally on deck. I see that.
Yeah.
How we running? We running okay over there on the line?
Beautiful. 60 frames.
Oh, nice.
No dips. Silky smooth. Get about 2 hours of life out of it.
Just get
Not
that
bad.
plug.
Good for pick up and play. It does work in handheld really well, though. I'm not going to lie. Like it feels right. So been able to continue my playthrough there. That's been a big part of my restructuring my life initiative, is like, okay, get the handheld framework going here. Like this is going to allow me to mobilize and game a little bit more. And so, yeah, Lies of P is what I've been grinding the most. It has been excellent. Anytime I'm away from it, I'm thinking like, when can I play that thing, man? So really good.
NeoWiz. Shout out to NeoWiz. Wow.
The other game I've been playing, I've gone back to Master Detective Archives Rain Code. This is one I want to see if it makes it on like a most disappointing list, best game of the year list. Like I there's a lot of games that I target as, conversation. how do I word it? I want to make sure I can spotlight them in some way. And so I didn't get to make any videos on Raincode, but I was curious if like maybe it ends up being really good. Maybe it'll crawl into my game of the year list. Like I want to see that out. I want to see Paranormasight out. Like these seem like very unique games. So right now I'm on chapter 2 of Raincode. And for those who don't know, there's chapter 0, prologue, chapter 1. So it's almost like the 4th chapter of the game in a way, but finished what is the second full kind of trial of the game.
Okay.
And I got to experience, they kind of made like an almost open world in this game, which I didn't expect at all. So you're in Conai Ward and there's a bunch of little districts and you can run around and you can do requests. So you can do detective work for other people, which I thought was kind of cool. You'll get detective points and you can unlock skills that you can then equip. And these skills will make your trials a lot easier. So they're worth doing and they're very quick. They're not mind blowing or anything, but it's kind of fun just listening to the music, running around this very stylized world. It's always raining in Conai Ward, and just solving more and more crimes. I will say to me, this team with Kodaka at the top make the best murder mysteries. I don't think the main story is as compelling right now as like say Danganronpa.
So I was about to say, you're saying strong stuff now.
Yeah, because like what's happening with Raincode is there's a lot, everything's shrouded in mystery. Like, why is it always raining here? What is Amaterasu up to? Which is like this big corporation overruling Conai Ward to the point where they tried to kill all the master detectives that were coming in to Conai Ward. Like they're trying to keep everyone out. Anyone who's there is detained. They skew crimes. So anytime they investigate, they like, no, that's what happened there. Yeah, he died because he got hit in the head. That's what we're right. And that's the truth. Take it or leave it. Okay. That's it. So like you're kind of coming in. If you try to investigate, they're like, oh, word? Okay, yeah, like noted, and they'll take you out, right?
Exactly. So, we got this. We got a problem with this.
Yeah, right. So there's corruption here. So a lot of it's shrouded in mystery. So I don't want to be too gung ho on the main story, but it's there. I'm intrigued, right? I'm there. I'm interested. I will say after finishing chapter 1, I don't feel like I got any further in knowing what's happening in this world.
Right.
It feels like they just introduced now this main villain. And I'm like 15 hours into this game. I'm like, okay, it's definitely a little slower moving compared to Danganronpa. The other problem I have is after doing this first trial or second trial, I should say, is, and I don't know if this changes throughout the rest of the game, but right now I'm a little concerned because what made Danganronpa special is not only the claustrophobic nature of the way the story is told, like you're locked in a school, like it's just you 12 or 18, what was the number? Something like that, in that range. And you're going to either kill each other or learn to live together. And so everyone who was the person dying and the person murdering was someone you know, someone you had a relationship with. And that made it powerful. Whereas Raincode's like, oh yeah, this dude died. Go find out what happened. I'm like, I don't. You're investigating like that's why I said the murder mystery is compelling. Like, locked rooms, extreme complexity, little details. I mean, they do there was like this one moment where the way they used a window with a doll and a nail and a painting, I was like, how did you think of this? Like there are some messed up minds there, but like it makes it so compelling. The mystery, I know they got something when I go into the trial and I got like 5 other ideas, like who done it? I don't know. I really don't know. And so that's good. So they nailed the mystery, the who done it. Actually, I was like, okay, whatever. Okay. That's kind of the drawback of the game. Like I haven't felt any connection to its characters at all. I really like Yuma Kokohead as a man to see. I think he's great.
That's been your joy. I remember. I was also surprised.
I love Yuma Kokohead. Yeah, he's awesome. But otherwise, Master Detective Archives Raincode has been good enough to keep my attention. Has been good enough to play through and finish up. Apparently it's 6 chapters long, so we'll see where we end up in the coming weeks. But I aim to have this one and Liza P done by the end of the month. Perhaps a little ambitious, but I want to start clearing games off the list. And so I wanted to have one like console game and one Switch on the go kind of game.
I looked at it. It is so you, bro. It is so you.
The art style is, I got to compliment that one more time. The art style, the music. I mean, it's from the team that made Danganronpa, so it's unapologetically Danganronpa. They're like, we made Danganronpa, y'all. Like, so the portraits are like, even the faces they make ripped straight out of Danganronpa. The music, like the investigation music, they bust out the trumpets, and I'm like, okay, all right, I see what y'all are doing. You're saying let's run it back. So it's been a hit when it comes to what they've previously released. I'm waiting for like the real strong hook. I'm curious if it's a slow burn or if it's just not a well-told main story. We'll see. But right now, mysteries have been great. Like the 2 trials I've done have definitely been super compelling, where I'm like, okay, what is happening here? Why did this happen? And the way they put it together, I'm like, how did you think of this? How did you think of this? And it all makes sense. So it's really good stuff. The mini games and the trials, I don't think I would recommend this game to you, but I think you would, if these mini games were put
in Danganronpa,
I think you would actually like click with them.
Okay, because that was my issue with Danganronpa. Some of the mini games, I'm like, bruh,
they're
I
like,
know
they're
the answer. What's up?
Yeah, they're way better balanced, more fun, I would even say.
Okay.
Like you like there's this thing called reasoning deathmatch. So you know how you like look at in Danganronpa, you look at the text and you shoot a truth bullet, almost like a first person shooter. This one, you got the sword of truth, and it's almost like an action game where like you're locked into place, but the words are coming at you and you're like dodging them.
Okay.
And then when you see like the flaw in the argument, you like cut down that part of it. So
symbolism.
Yeah, it's similar, but it's also, cutting through to the truth and all that stuff. I think you would like it much more, but it's a shame that these mini games are in like what right now I think is a lesser compelling story that made me love Danganronpa. We'll see when it's all done. Maybe I'll be breathing down your neck about this one when it comes to Game Pass in like 2 years.
Yeah, you know it's gonna come later. Yeah, because they got the relationship with the studio now. Yeah, it'll probably come.
Yeah, maybe because it's exclusive to Switch right now. I'm surprised it's not even on PlayStation. But
yeah, interesting.
We'll see what they do. We got one warm-up question before we get into the rest of the news here. Golden Goose writes in, "Hey, Duke boys. First off, I want to start by saying thanks as always for making an amazing show." Thank you, Golden Goose. We appreciate you. I've fallen out of love with my Xbox over the last year, but I still love tuning in every week to listen to y'all's show. My question for the both of you is, how do you balance replaying older games that are tied to upcoming sequels while still playing all the new games coming out? Love the show and keep being the best Xbox podcast around. Thank you, Golden Goose. We appreciate that. Cog, do you often go back and replay games ahead of their sequels? Like, we're getting Jedi Survivor. Do you go back and play Fallen Order? Do you have time for that type of stuff?
It's hard, man. This is a great question because yes and no. Yes, if I love a series, like right now, bro, I mean, Tekken has been out here showing all type of new stuff for 8. We got a new...
I saw just the character select menu and the music it was playing. I was like, wow. I was like, oh, I'm about all this. Let's go.
And I'm looking at, I used to, even though Harangue is my main, I used to take martial law and I used to be really good. And like, he's going back to classic 70s Bruce Lee with the glasses. And I'm like, damn, I might have to get my Enter the Dragon on with that too. You know what I'm saying? And then Laws, you showed me some stuff with, I guess, like a Tekken Force kind of a mode.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, I used to love, and Laws used to be the star there. And I like, so what it does is now, when I'm in, I got the ally, I bust out, I was telling you, I had the Starfield in there and I bust out some practice sessions with Tekken 7 because Fang got revealed, so I'm staying sharp. So I do that a lot where before the new one, I'm like, okay, Mortal Kombat, hey, I got to get the Aftermath DLC done, or, that kind of thing. So yeah, it is something I do when I truly love it. Sometimes you just don't have the time for everything. So it is tough, but I think I'm pretty good about this. Usually when it's a series, I like at least touch the old one right before the new one drop. And I feel like you do this. I feel like you even take it a step further. You'll do like a whole series retrospective and then like jump in kind of thing. But yeah, it's a good question. It's just hard because there's so many good new releases that come out. It's just too many games right now, y'all. I'm overwhelmed. Like it is. I have about, it's so bad right now. There's about 5 to 6 games that I look on my Xbox. I'm like, man, I want to play you. I really want to play you. And I just can't because I got to do something else, or it's a juggling act. We are in such a unique time period right now where I am okay with delays. Delay, please.
It really is such an interesting time because you mentioned earlier, and it's true, like when do you release? If like there was a Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash, like it's an anime video game, it's going to have its audience, but I don't know if these companies don't look, but it's also launching February 2nd. I'm like, do you guys not see, especially in Japan, like do you not see how many JRPGs, Japanese fighting games, Japanese, like all of you are releasing in the same week? What do you gain from this by giving yourself at least extra 2 weeks. I don't know what they see market data wise, but yeah, there's so many, it's overwhelming. So it's hard to go back. I'm lucky I have Retro Rebound where there's like a creative, and then like obviously, you know, it's part of my job, so it's like a financial incentive to like go back and celebrate these games, and it benefits my content a lot, I think. So that's why it's you know, it's more worth the time than ever, because like Assassin's Creed Mirage, like I think my review for that was really good, and not to toot my own horn, but just I think it was good because I was really in touch with what I thought made the series special. And you can watch all the videos you want on games, but I feel like I've always been someone who's like, I need to get my hands on it to understand.
Preach.
Always been that type of person. I just can't watch and know. Otherwise, I'm just speaking out my ass. Like I have to, even if it's an hour, just spend some time with it.
Get in there.
And that makes it, just given how much I have to play, like for Spider-Man, like instead of doing a full replay of Spider-Man PS4, like I would probably want to, I have actually, hold on one sec.
What we doing?
Hold on one sec. I have
wow, that's classic, bro.
Yeah, so everything from those who are audio listeners,
that's official.
Spider-Man 1 on PS1. Right now it's Enter Electro, but Spider-Man 1 is going to be here soon. Nice. Down to Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to get played.
Man, somebody better stop playing. My boy Official, like, I better stop playing. He do this for real. He do this Spider-Man game for real. That's
crazy. If anyone ever comes around and tries to tell me like you're an Xbox, you hate PlayStation, you hate, so I'm like, look at Spider-Man. Like, no one puts more love on, maybe Jake Baldino. No one puts more love on Spider-Man's name than I.
Facts.
Facts. But yeah, that's where I've kind of ended up to answer Golden Goose's question. But it's something that maybe some of you will recall. I talked about on, I think DD last year. I said I need to embrace dipping my foot in the pool more, because what happened was, I wanted to do the all in. Like, I want to do a full Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and PS4 replay before 2, which, if you're not doing this for a living, is much more feasible. Or if you're not like me, where I'm keeping up with all these other games, then you can do that's feasible, right? You can commit to that. Where you notice, like, I'm not just hard committing to the Yakuza replay like I would want, or playthrough like I would want to. I have to like wait for the right moment, and then make the most of that moment. But I'm losing my train of thought here. Where was I going with this here? I was talking about Spider-Man. I was talking about replaying. Oh, yeah. So for me, like, I can't justify the deep dive as much as I used to anymore, because I've become like a dip in the pool. Because sometimes the idea is more tantalizing than actually doing it. Like, you'll get that fix in for 5 hours. You're like, okay, I'm good. And so if you need like a story synopsis, you can just look that up. I'm not personally against that. But yeah, that's where I've ended up on the replays. It's tough to balance Golden Goose, and most times I really can't do a full replay like I would typically do. Like when Arkham Knight was getting ready to come out, like I did a full replay of City. I was like, yo, let's go. Like that's when I was just a Fallout guy, like that used to be my thing, like full replays of things before games come out. That always like prepped my body. But I'll say this, and I'm curious if you feel the same before we move on to the rest of the news. Sometimes our bodies have limits, right? Like, oh, it's too much Spider-Man now. Like I've played like 4 Spider-Man games in a row. So you get to Spider-Man 2 and you're like, it's not hitting right because I'm just taking in so much. Yeah. So I wonder, part of me is, I think in my head, oh, I really want to go back and do these massive replays, but it might spoil some of the fun I would have with the new things. I've already got the Spider-Man fix, for example. So have you felt any of that before where you've like dove too deep?
That's a good question. I think I haven't, only because like usually when it's something that I love and the previous sequel, and I'll like either end it or do a couple of nuances, it just drives my excitement for the new product. So I don't think I see, because what it is, the difference between me and you is like I don't do what I consider the retrospective. So in your case, I'm not doing like Tekken 5, Tekken 6, then Tekken 7, and then jumping.
That's going to be a hell of a video, bro. I'm going to do my research for all those old Tekken games.
Bro, so that part I can see, all right, maybe you're Tekken out after, a certain amount of time. But for me, it is an excitement to like end it, the old one right before, the new one. I'm the story recap. You remember all the nuances. Remember now every subsequent change. And for me, especially, I'm going to use Tekken as an example because it's something I've really been doing lately, is I see as a person who's doing the closed network test of a PlayStation, and then I believe Xbox is the 20th. So it's coming up soon. The X, because I signed for all I'm going to do all these. Yeah. I want to play with Raven. I want to see all these new characters that they just added, Feng Wei, all this. So what I'm noticing is, wow, how distinct they have really changed the move list. They feel completely different after playing, Harang in the Tekken 8 in the beta, and you go back to he is completely different. So there's a part of me that's like, to your point now, that's like, okay, stop, because if you're mastering this old style, this is not going to translate over. So you've got to just calm down on certain things, that thing. So yeah, I mean, there's a balance. It's a push pull. And I think it varies from game to game. But I will say, like, ending, story, character lore, that kind of stuff, I do get excited because it puts me right in the pocket. Okay, this is what happened. Now we at the new. Okay, it's a smooth transition for me.
Yeah, one thing I've been doing, because I'm just thinking of Spider-Man 2 with all of this. I said it on Retro Rebound, but for those who don't watch the channel, what I did was earlier this year, I replayed Ultimate Spider-Man, which is like a 4 or 5 hour video game. And then I replayed Web of Shadows, which are the two like symbiote focused Spider-Man games to, in my head, like prepare for Spider-Man. Instead of just doing the story, I was like, let me get the vibe of the relationships with Venom and these other Spider-Man games, and like, how were they captured? How good or bad did they do with them? Ultimate Spider-Man needs to be remastered. That game's visuals are still incredible.
Nice.
Let's talk news now, Cog.
Yeah.
Thank you for writing in, Golden Goose. We appreciate the question. Number 1. Redfall. It's a headliner. Surprise, surprise. Its second major update has arrived, and it introduces dozens of bug fixes, a stealth takedown animation for staked weapons, increased enemy encounters, and a 60 FPS performance mode for consoles. We have 2 write-ins here. I'm going to read them back to back because it just shows the diverging opinions that the Dukes get. And I always like to represent these, not only so the audience can have their voice heard, but also to show when we say, like, we hear conflicting takes quite often. This is what we mean. Keith Huntington's our first write-in. Let's talk Redfall. I think there were a couple of inquiries on this, but I kind of have a different take. I had put off playing the game until the performance patch came, so when they announced this last week, I eagerly jumped in. And Keith, props to your open-mindedness. You used the word eagerly here. You eagerly wanted to get into Redfall in a busy holiday season, and I commend you for that.
Salute.
I've got about 15 hours in, and from my experience, I don't quite see what was so offensive about the game. Granted, I'm playing it totally offline and solo. From a solo perspective, it's not actually half bad. A nice tight map, a very abbreviated main campaign, enough variety and weaponry to keep combat fresh and evolving. This game is really scratching all of my itches I had for this October. Jump in, few hours, roll credits, jump out. Since y'all played the beta and the initial release, did they completely overhaul the mechanics of the game? Or was everyone just being overly dramatic? Because to me, this has been a pretty solid experience. Now, I can understand how this would fall short as a live service or an online game because the map is super small and the campaign is short. It doesn't work at all as a live service game, but as a quick October spooky time game, Redfall plays nicely, doesn't overstay its welcome, and doesn't ask too much from me. And for that, I can't complain. Easily a 7.7 out of 10. It's easier to just die to the Rook and keep trucking than to fight back kind of day. Meanwhile, John O writes in,
here we go.
Hey Dukes, I recently watched Maddie's latest Redfall video, and he acknowledged something that's been bothering me for a while. Xbox's fans' desire to declare everything a win despite it not being the win advertised. Redfall is a dud, and Starfield, while good, doesn't feel like the big home run Xbox needed. Rather than demand more from the various Xbox studios, fans do things like bomb patch notes of Baldur's Gate 3 about how much better Starfield is, acting like its very existence threatens them. What is going on here? Why is there so much toxicity going around that even a game that's not remotely related to the console wars gets bombed with nonsense? Thanks, and have a Jets could be the dominant New York team, and that's weird type of day. Shout out to Colin.
Shout out to Colin to get that win.
So yeah, Cog, we have here John, who's kind of getting angry that like Redfall is being celebrated for its latest update, and more so getting into the console war drivel. And you have Keith, who's actually having a pretty good time with it. Mm. Now, I did download this and play this, but I don't want to jump ahead of Cog. Have you checked this update out?
Yes.
You have? Okay.
Yes.
Remember, I was going to put it in your hands at first. I was like, it's all you, bro. And I was like, I got to see. Let's hear from you first. What did you think of the second big update to Redfall?
Look, the 60 frames is a huge difference. I will admit. Like, I was like, okay, you're moving smooth. That's cool. You know, for me, I want to go back to certain things I experienced during our play session, which is as soon as you get out the firehouse, sometimes there's different mob activity. And from what I've seen, yes, the stealth skills were there. That was cool. Some of the guns felt a little better. Some of the control felt a little better, no question. My issue still remained with the AI. I still saw some, even though the one-to-one engagements, AI was definitely improved. No more just standing there stupid when I'm really in a mix with you. But I did see an example of what I consider the emergent events between different factions. So I saw like a group of cultists, for whatever reason, vampires was fighting them. I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. And then I saw another group and I was just watching the interactions. And there were a couple of times where I did see some of them in the middle of the interaction staying stationary. I'm like, oh, you're still a little off right there. You're still a little off right there. But look, has it come a long way? Absolutely. Has the 60 makes a difference? Yes. To Keith's point, God bless you. You dodged major bullets and you jumping in now. And it's an average. It went from a horrible experience for you to an average experience, right? But people who launched this game, and this is why we had to come at them, because again, we are playing the PC version, which I learned a very valuable lesson. Make sure I say which version I'm playing, you know what I'm saying? Because when the consoles came home, I'm like, bro, this is not it. Like, this is really bad. Like, it was the worst. Like, it was laughably bad. It was embarrassingly bad. So look, kudos to them for keeping their word and actually following through with it. But to John O's point, I don't think anybody's out here claiming Redfall's a win. Please tell me these people who are out here claiming Redfall's a win. Like, I may see
check Twitter. Not like in a coming at you kind of way, but dude,
please.
Like
people
I talked about in my video. I don't want to leap into you here.
Please. I didn't even notice.
There were a lot of people who were like, yeah, bro, like it's good for a playthrough now. Like it's fixed. And I'm just like, so that's why I fired it up, because I was like, okay. That's why I downloaded it, because I wasn't going to make a video on it. I wasn't going to talk about it. I already talked about Redfall enough. I talked about the downfall of it, all this stuff. I was like, eventually you don't want to, just like Halo, I kind of move on because I'm like, I don't want to kick this thing while it's down. Eventually, eventually we got to give them time to do whatever they want. Right. But then this comes around and I saw a lot of the Xbox fan base like, yeah, I'm having such a good time with it now. I'm like, okay. Either we're deluding ourselves here a bit and trying to manifest the W, which I appreciate the optimism, or something's changed here significantly. And could those under the hood changes, the bug fixes, along with the takedown animation, which I tweaked heavily, the increased enemy encounters, the performance mode, make a difference? But Cog, I don't want to interrupt you. I'll just into my thoughts.
Yeah, I'll finish my thought. I'll pretty much finish it. I didn't know this, so thank you for educating me, because to be low key, I've been off social media a bit more lately. Yeah. So I've been kind of like, here and there and patches. So I missed this. So if this is happening, look, if you came late and that's your experience, like, my man, I get it. If you're popping off, like it was always great and I'm just not there with you, you know what I'm saying? But the last thing I'll say is, look, I'm glad they're sticking with it, right? I'm glad that they at least kept their word. I was worried that this patch was not coming. I'm going to be honest with you, man. I thought the lie now was, I was like, it's
That's fair. Yep.
You know what I mean? 60, like, bro. And what it shows me, and the last point I'll say, in reference to the Series S, conversation, which is like, you see, it can't do 60, you see all this other stuff. This is showing me when more development time is afforded, it can happen, right? So we've got that. So, but the key now is Xbox willing to delay for the sake of the quality of the game, right? Or and not miss the platform, like in a Baldur's Gate situation. And I think they will make a change internally and loosen that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got on it. I mean, Pete says that they intend on supporting this thing for years to come. I mean, the only counter I will say to that is they must look at it like, look, this game is going to be in Game Pass. People are going to play it for the first time that may have missed out. We have to have a serviceable product. But to me, in order for this thing to really take the leap that it needs, and you and Saab said it beautifully during our coverage episode of Redfall, which is the problem with Redfall is it's Corvo split into four people, right? Instead of having all these unique skills, it's really like the skills you have are just an extra cooldown, an extra 5 seconds on an existing skill. You're not really branching and having in-depth paths. So to me, for Redfall to make the true change, you've got to really commit to the gameplay, overhaul that. Like, you really got to go. And I don't know if they're willing to do all that. We will see. I think this is get it to a level of being serviceable. We did what we got to do and move on. And personally, I don't mind, because if Dishonored is on the list, I'd rather the teams divert energy there. That's my thing on it. Redfall, if you want to make it come back, great. I personally have seen enough, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know if it's truly salvageable in a Cyberpunk kind of way. Like, we're going to do some comeback. I don't know if we there, but I am curious what you felt about this 60 frames back, this verbiage that you had to make. I didn't know none of this was going on because I'm in the dark. So I got to hear your opinion on this.
Yeah, you know, when it comes to the 60 frames, I guess that impressed me less because I played it in 60 frames. I played it on PC when I reviewed it. So to me, that was kind of like a non-factor. I know for some people, they're like, it feels better now, but as someone who's only played this game in 60, I still think it's a very floaty, poor feeling shooter. And that's disappointing because something like Deathloop did feel at least tight, where it was enjoyable to play, point, and shoot, where I feel like Redfall's missing that. And again, just feels very, very floaty. So to me, if anyone thinks, well, why isn't he talking about performance mode much? That's why. It's because like I've played it in that state since my review.
Right.
And I've played way more of this game than I ever expected to at this point in the year.
Yeah, I know.
I will call out that this game was apparently supposed to come out in October last year, so it took them a full year to get this game launch ready from the original delay, to have it feature ready, things like takedown animations being there. So this to me is like, okay, launch complete. Like, this is now where they would have wanted to be back in May.
Agreed.
And when you look at the road ahead, before I talk on my thoughts, I know you said I'm happy they stuck with it. I'm glad they delivered this patch. I hope that's the end of it, though. I really do. I'm just trying to be frank here. This game is still terrible, and this game is not having a resurgence at all. It's not in the top Xbox played games.
Check it out.
It hit a whopping in 1 hour, 19 players right now on Steam, 46 in the last 24 hours. It has not surpassed 50 concurrent players on Steam since June. It just had its biggest update yet. No one's playing this game. The trust is lost, and this isn't what people want from Arcane, and that is the reality they need to face. Now, barring again, this is why, if they hung with it and did a significant overhaul of everything Redfall, to the point where they're basically making a new game, I feel like that's a moot point. Go make a new game. This isn't the team DNA here. But I'm not just going to kick them while they're down. I'm going to explain why I still think the game's terrible. So,
break it down.
Main things here: bug fixes, stealth takedown, increased enemy encounters, performance mode. So increased enemy encounters, thumbs up for me. Like, yep, they're there, and you get more things happening. I have videos on my channel of me literally running, my Mr. Matty channel, I should say, me running from one end of the map to the other and going almost 2 minutes without an encounter, which doesn't sound like much, but as Keith wrote, map's very tight. And so you're running half the map without seeing anything. The very, very, very vacant world. Now, not so much. Now you're going to see, as Cog mentioned, like factions fighting. You're going to see pockets of enemies in areas you hadn't seen them before. And so you're frequently getting into action, which can serve as an enjoyable distraction from an otherwise mundane game. The stealth takedowns, I'm glad they're here. I kind of wish they just had like a default takedown, because they just reused the stake animation that's on the vampires, which again, I'm just like, how was this not in the game in the first place? Especially when we're just going with this. Like, I was thinking maybe you'll take something out of your pocket, like a stake, and put it in their neck or something along those lines, but nothing, right? It's just simple takedown that you saw already. So right away, I'm like, all right, we're cutting corners here. Just like, check, that's done. Check, got it. I got to go for the AI again, though.
Yep, talk to me.
Beating this drum for a while. This, you can find it in the video I just made this week with the new patch.
Okay.
Bro, I think I was on the game for half an hour collecting this gameplay and all this shit happened. Like, the first enemy I shot at, this bro T-post right away, just bang, out. And I'm like, right away, just in a flash. That's not bad luck. Like, oh, shoot, Matt, you hit a bug there. This shit happens all over the place. Right away, T-pose. Right away, he just starts backstepping and not shooting at me. He's just like, oh, yo, there he is. And just nothing.
Damn.
The AI is horrific in this game. You can put as many encounters. You can fill the whole map with enemies. Doesn't matter if they're not going to shoot at me, if they're not going to provide a challenge. And that's in solo play, highest difficulty. I'm playing the New Game Plus Eclipse difficulty. Now, the vampire AI is better. Much more aggressive, much more on you.
Yes.
Love that. That's good because they weren't a threat at all. I'm like, these are the main beasts that I'm supposed to see those and go, oh, snap. Like, I don't want to, because you'll find them isolated in pockets by themselves. So the way they're designed says to me as the player, oh, like he may just be by himself, but he's going to be a threat. Now they're kind of getting there with that, which is good. But again, it doesn't feel particularly good to play. It doesn't have any of the hallmark arcane things. I'm genuinely not even saying this as a Dishonored. I'm not giving you the same rigmarole here. Like the level design is terrible. Like you don't have options of approach. There's not that sense of freedom that Arcane is known for. The weapons aren't diverse enough to provide that for a loot game. Even it's missing so many things that they are going to have to continue to. 10 years. Yeah, you're going to take 10 years to add on to it, and by then it'll be great. But I can't see a reality where Xbox is looking at these numbers and going, that's worth it. Unless, there's the only thing, unless they're like, we got to make it up to them. We got to let them go and fix this to make sure that we're not making our partners unhappy.
Right.
But I mean, you already did the apology tour for them. Mm-hmm. I feel like that was the nail in the coffin there. Practically through, for all Phil's done right, I feel like really threw Arcane under the bus there completely.
Oh, you feel so? Okay.
100%. Yeah, I said that when we talked about that interview on Kind of Funny. Like completely threw Arcane under the bus, which, I mean, definitely, they fucked up. But, I don't feel like there was a massive shared blame there. So to me, that was the moment I went, they're not going any further with this game. I'd be shocked if we got the 60 FPS update. And I'm glad they did do that. But to John O's write-in, what I said in my video was, I go on Twitter. The reason I downloaded this is like mad Xbox fans are like, yo, it's back. This is it. This is what we wait for. I'm just like, okay. I'm not trying to take a small subsect of gamers and blow it up as an opinion everyone holds.
Right.
But there is one commonality among Xbox fans that is true. And I went on this whole controller rant back around the time Redfall launched. Stop reaching for W's. You got to stop. I'm getting Mr. Daddy plays now. You've got to stop trying to make everything a win. Redfall is a certifiable loss. You lost the game. They lost the game. Take your L and move on. I'm not saying that we can't play it. I'm not saying Keith, for example, was wrong for enjoying it.
Correct.
But trying to make it something it's not. This is not what we want to have be the standard for first party, which we talked about earlier. Like, oh man, they come out, fix it later. They come out, they update features later. Like even Starfield, as fantastic as I think it is, the fact that we're waiting for updates on that, unacceptable. You enable the culture of which Xbox creates by how you accept this shit. Now, I like to see that Redfall, for as bad as it is, I'm not rooting for its failure, but I'm glad it's got a low player count because it says to me that message received. Arcane should know, no, Xbox should know, never again should we do that. I'm glad they hung with it to update it, but to try to manifest a W and go like, yeah, good for a playthrough. Like, no, not in today's day and age, not in today's gaming culture where we got Game of the Year games every single month. You don't got time for Redfall. Go Game Pass day one. There is stuff in there that's good for a playthrough now. That stuff is ready for your playthrough now, not Redfall. But again, I can't stand it, Cog. And I don't know if I'm being a dick right now, but I can't stand watching like this game be parade around like it's now, here we go. Like, let's get the band back together again. Woo! Like, no, Redfall is not having this massive comeback that we're trying to act like it is. If it does down the line, cool. But I think it would just, as a business, I'm looking at it as, I get the human element of it. If you feel you owe Arcane something after helping, let's be honest, you went to Bethesda Game Studios and nurtured that more than Arcane. If you feel you owe them one, and this is what they want to do, yeah, support the hell out of them. Let's get Redfall great. Sure. But if like everyone's kind of 1 foot in the pool right now, just pull out the pool right now. Just like, let's go. Let's pull the plug. You got 60 frames. You delivered it in spooky season. get those extra characters in that you promised. So we're going to still see updates to Redfall into next year. They're going to do at least one of the bonus characters. The fact that we don't even have one now.
Yeah.
I mean,
the DLC
it's
stuff.
just, I'm not saying anything that I think is that crazy, but it's time to move on. Like, it really is. It's just, this is not, I will say, I will run back this one talking point.
Let's go.
Just in conclusion, this is not the Arcane that you should expect.
Yes.
And if you are just an Xbox gamer and you think like this is only what they're capable of, you gotta let them like set the standard. Go and make something with the Xbox budget, something that impresses people, like a Dishonored, like a Deathloop. Show them what you're capable of. And also, I think, you know, the more you hang with Redfall, the less likely you are to recruit the talent that made Arcane worth buying. It's the other thing we got to think of is like Arcane lost 75% of its team for this game.
Yes.
In Austin, not Leon, in Austin. When that happens, Xbox, I think that's one of the reasons they kind of like Matt Booty float around like, we're not looking at closing them right now, because it's like, you purchased this team and now you're looking at it, it's like, that's not the team we bought. We bought the Prey team, not the Redfall team that's turned into. So, you know, I have faith that they can turn it around long term and just hit the reset button, put this in the rear view, chalk it up as a learning experience. But again, I don't think this should be paraded around as a W. I really don't. It's embarrassing for Xbox that this is how it released in the first place.
No, absolutely. And look, I'll jump. I will push back on one point you said in reference to Phil. And I do think he did take accountability for it, as opposed to throw Arcane under the bus, because he was kind of like, hey, we should have been in there. Like, we should have known what's going on, because the reports were like, yo, they wanted it canceled. When the own studio itself kind of wanted canceled. So in my opinion, you know, look, I'm with you. This should have never happened. It should have never, regardless to whose fault, it should have never happened. This is embarrassing. We saw the old documents about Phil stating that, yo, they thought they had Redfall, because that's going to come.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be our big one come 2023.
Right. So that goes to show you there was no internal recognition that this was a bad game in a bad state, right? So this hopefully is a learning lesson. I'm with you 100% on the, you know, let's cut support. You know, you fulfilled your obligation to the 60 frames. You fulfilled your obligation to some basic bug fixes and quality of life to make it somewhat serviceable, to go from a 3 to a 6 or whatever it is from a Metacritic. You know, you've done what you had to do. I'm with you. I would prefer, and I'm usually the guy that's like, hey, come back, turn around. The core is just not there. It would take too much, in my opinion, resources to truly transform this game. So if you feel that strongly about it, just go start working on Redfall 2, right? I personally don't.
Yeah, right. Straight up.
Yeah, like I personally have seen enough, and let's get the talent to where it needs to be and get Arcane to where it needs to be. As far as the W thing, you are right. I'm gonna tell you why this is going on. Let me break it down. Let me help Daddy plays.
Please.
What it is Xbox fans are looking at the year as a whole, right? And they're like, bam, Hi-Fi Rush, banger, right? You know, say Minecraft Legends, okay, it is what it is, but you know, solid game for what it is, right? You know, Age of Empire, again, not the console guy, but for the PC, massive, strong game. Yeah. Here comes Starfield. Yeah, not saying Starfield's perfect, doesn't have issues, but we got to say at a core level, as far as fun, and they delivered a solid product. Absolutely. We see the engagement, whatever. Forza, yes, we have some issues. It's not perfect. It could be even better, but the racing, the driving, core gameplay, people love it, right? So if you look at the year as a whole, the stain is Redfall. So now the patch comes, right? So you're like, yo, we lit now. We lit. They fixed it. It's lit. Yo, the year is perfect. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I love my ex-bros, you know what I'm saying? But they're trying to rewrite history on that one. Yeah. And the reality.
We didn't lose back then.
Yeah, we didn't lose. That was enough. No, it's 60 now. I had to go to King with this because he's like, yo, 60, we lit. And I'm like, we're not going to minimize the cataclysmic disaster that was Redfall's launch. We have to still say that it's a learning moment that can never happen again. I think they know that. They know that. But I think it's the fanboys trying to make it 100 year, like a year's, oh my God, perfect, bro. We did it. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong, great year. But we have to still remember that staying. We can't act like that didn't happen. So I understand where you're coming from, and I'm glad you told me. I didn't know this was going on. I didn't know dudes was had the pop-ups.
Yeah, I don't think it was in mass, but it was a lot of like, game's fun now. I'm not trying to take anyone's joy away, although I know that ship's already sailed. They already sound like it, but I'm really not. It's like if you want to download it, give it a try, and you end up having fun, like that's totally cool. But like, it's just trying to, as you put the perfect term that would have shortened my whole spiel a ton more. Rewriting history. Like we just can't act like it didn't happen. And this needs to be a message sent that like it should have never happened in the first place.
Oh yeah, bro.
It should have never happened in the first place, man. And the fact that it did is embarrassing across the board. Not just for Arcane, but it's embarrassing for Xbox. Like that they let it go out. It's embarrassing. And I know the other take is like, what they canceled an Arcane game? I get all that, but
yeah, what's that?
We'll wonder what it was, but I know it was a losing position either way, but there had to be some middle ground here to get this game into a respectable level before it released. Right. And so just to act like that never happened because of a second update, it's a far cry from what I think Cyberpunk did, as just to offer an alternate example, where, I mean, that was years of makeup work where they said, I think the report that CD Projekt Red said was they spent $125 million on that game to get it to where it was. And if you do just the raw revenue of what Phantom Liberty did, I mean, they're probably losing money all in all on investing in Cyberpunk, but like they had to make good on that.
Yeah.
And so if they do that with Redfall, great. But early indications of Cyberpunk told us like, okay, they're taking feedback. They're dropping massive patch notes lists. Like they're going all the way with this. Yeah. With Redfall though, it's like we got, I think 2 hot fixes, a patch at day 1, and then this update 5 months later. It's just 2 different games.
It's way too different. And you made a great point, because at least on a core level, you saw that Cyberpunk still could be a fun game. It just had all these issues. Redfall, we've already seen the documentation when they were debating about Fallout 76's existence, continued existence. Redfall's player count is so abysmal, they can't just, I think it goes to what we're saying. They can't.
PS Plus.
It had to go to PS Plus to see a resurgence over there. Like, you're funny. Now Redfall's going over there. But, I just don't see the justification to keep investing on something that has such a low player count, despite whatever Twitter says, saying nah. So hopefully, again, kudos to them, keeping your word, doing the bare basics. But I personally, selfishly would like them to move on and give Harvey and his team a chance to do what they want to do in this new era and run that back with something else, or something of the single player classic Prey vibe or Deus Ex vibe, which he's known for.
I agree completely. Again, if there's anyone who's earned that, Harvey Smith. He posted on his Twitter account that it was the
Dishonored birthday.
Something, I think 12th year anniversary or something like that for Dishonored 1. And I was like, man, like this guy brought us that. Like that is to me one of the best games ever made. They followed it up with one of the best sequels ever made in Dishonored 2. Prey is phenomenal. Just like you got to let this guy have the budget to make an immersive sim, and he will bring the house down. Like he will bring us goated shit. You just got to let him do that. Just give him the ball, let him run with it.
Yeah, definitely. And I shouted them out when he put that tweet out. And some of the old Arcane followed me. I was like, oh, okay. That was dope.
They'll never fucking follow me, bro. They will never catch themselves following me, bro. I'd be shocked if anyone from Arcane follows me.
Dinga gave you props, though, bro.
I respect Dinga.
Kind of respect Dinga for responding to you on your unique take with Deathloop. And
your unique take.
That's how we're going to leave it.
Just God.
You know what I'm saying? But he could have, a lot of devs be in their feelings when everybody ain't singing their praises, like, the masses, and you kept it a buck on how you felt about it. And I love that he watched your video. He felt it was fair. He gave you verbal, response. Yeah. That's dope. That's open-mindedness. I can respect that.
Twitter will give you a much different perception of how these developers actually function, and they're normal people like us and will listen to us and agree with us in some things, even if we're a little rowdy and rambunctious like myself, that, I always try to be fair, but I'm definitely very straightforward. And I don't think when you work in the creative field, a lot of people like that. It's just like they get hurt, and I get it. Yeah, like I am a creative as well. I'm going to be hurt when someone gets really sore about my game when it comes out. It's going to be a vicious cycle for me. No doubt about it. I'll get mine in a few years.
No doubt.
All right. Number 2, Cog. As the deal winds down, or maybe by this point when we're going live, it has officially winded down. we have quite the Activision extravaganza to sift through. For starters, Xbox's acquisition of Activision Blizzard is set to close on October 13th, according to The Verge. It's also been stated by Bloomberg that the deal will avoid another EU probe, thus preventing any further delays to the closing. Now, a little context on that for those who don't know is because of the change with cloud gaming in the UK and with Ubisoft getting involved. They're saying that with those changes, the EU has not seen anything that's going to make them get involved and delay the deal further. Meanwhile, Activision took to Twitter to speak on the status of their titles heading to Game Pass, which seems like a confirmation the deal's going through, if anything.
Yeah, boy, than ever.
Yeah. Quote, it's awesome to see anticipation building for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. As we continue to work toward regulatory approval of the Microsoft deal, we've been getting some questions about whether our upcoming and recently launched games will be available via Game Pass. While we do not have plans to put Modern Warfare 3 or Diablo 4 into Game Pass this year, once the deal closes, we expect to start working with Xbox to bring our titles to more players around the world. And we anticipate that would begin by adding games into Game Pass sometime in the course of the next year. End quote.
Sorry. Very interesting statement. I choked a little bit. Sorry.
Windows Central reports that despite this statement, Activision stuff is hitting Game Pass as soon as the deal is finalized. On top of that, we have more from Windows Central in what was a town hall meeting hosted by Bobby Kotick to discuss with members of the company what its future looks like with Xbox. He reportedly states that he doesn't expect Xbox to change much moving forward, using the words magic and special to describe the leadership culture built at the company that sustains 15,000 plus employees and some of the world's most popular games. He also suspects with machine learning and AI that his company will have to invest in more writers and actors to better meet player expectations with the evolving technology, even tossing in a mention of Elon Musk's Neuralink. Perhaps the most noteworthy takeaway for gamers, though, is that Kotick heavily hinted at a return for Guitar Hero through Xbox when saying the following, quote, the reemergence of Guitar Hero and other things would not be possible without different types of resources. And so, just the endless possibilities for the future that are just incredibly exciting, end quote. NeoJD has the right in. Activision tweeted out an update on the status of Activision games coming to Game Pass. It sounds to me like we can expect future Activision titles day one for Game Pass for sure. But that got me wondering, how are they going to offset those sales? We can expect crazy pre-order bonuses for sure, but do you think we'll see more monetization options in all their games? Will Activision nickel and dime to new heights, or will big Microsoft's pockets cover us? Got to know how the Dukes feel about this. Thanks, and have I'd rather play 2009 MW2 than 2023 MW3 kind of day. Thank you, Neo, for writing in as always. All right, Cog, a lot going on here with the Activision deal. I think the tweet here is the centerpiece of it all, but Guitar Hero looking like it's eyeing a comeback through Xbox. A lot here. Where do you want to begin?
Let's start from the beginning. So the EU, I think, is important because I was a little worried about that because
I didn't even think of it. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, because think about it, right? The CMA is getting for the UK all these different privileges, and now Ubisoft's got to come in, and like Microsoft is literally bending over backwards to make this thing work for them. So I was curious about the EU because let's be honest, the EU, in my opinion, they saved the day. Microsoft better be extremely thankful because after the FTC block, the initial CMA block, EU was the final domino. Remember, if EU did not pass this deal, they're done. When EU passed it, and not only did they pass it, they said, hey, we don't see nothing wrong at all. So I was curious, the EU go, wait a minute, UK getting all of this? Like, maybe we got to revisit our joint. So to see them say, hey, Xbox made, Microsoft's made some adjustments to calm their nerves in reference to that. To me, that's political. And I think it was necessary for whatever Xbox and Microsoft had to do to make sure that the EU was still good with their offer that they agreed to, right? Because you see somebody else kind of getting all these little perks and being catered to. So that's the first thing. As far as the Game Pass thing, yes, this is the statement. I agree wholeheartedly with Jez Gordon of Windows Central. I even predicted this year, if the deal was done earlier, right, we would have seen this year's Call of Duty in Game Pass. But just it's too late in the game. It's from a technical standpoint. So I'm still standing on my prediction for next year with a Call of Duty game, November, in the Game Pass. I think that is critical for them, even if they don't have the marketing rights by next year, if they're going to honor the Sony thing. They want to establish themselves as the home of Call of Duty, and that's how you do it.
It'd be weird to own them and not feel like it's the home.
Yeah. You got to set meat on the table, and this is ours, and this is where you getting this meat at. So come over. You know what I'm saying? Without the mayo. So you're doing that. So that's that. Bobby, I thought it was interesting. To me, the biggest takeaway from Bobby's thing was Guitar Hero. I thought that for him to mention that is a big deal. I do think, look, I have, again, this is I hate to brag, but I highly recommend Peter Moore interview, head of Xbox. Listen, please. It's a part 1 and part 2. Go to the Iron podcast, exclusive interview playlist. Watch both parts. He had mentioned, about how Guitar Hero and his infamous flub on stage and he couldn't do it. But it's an important franchise. Now, I will say it's risky because it involves a peripheral, right? An expensive peripheral, and there are licenses, right? But it was a phenomenon. People forget Guitar Hero was a thing. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that they're considering it gives me hope. This is like a second or third time I'm hearing mention of it. So maybe there are plans to it. It would be cool to bring that thing back. Again, just got to see how they're going to do the peripheral and all that stuff. But yeah, that's dope. It just gives me hope that it's not just all cold. We're going to get some returning IPs. Now, I don't think all this is going to happen soon. Like, this is like 4 or 5 years into the deal, I feel. Like that, this is still a ways out. So that's that. And then to Neo's part, I get it. Everyone likes to do this. How are they going to offset the sale? Like, can I be honest, man? Like, sometimes I get mad with this because it's like, why the first thing we think about as gamers is how much money are they going to be? How are they going to sustain? How is the $1 billion...
fairness, maybe it's like, I want more of this. How can we maintain
fair enough,
this?
Fair enough.
That's all I can think of. But I agree, because I think some people,
I guess as a gamer, and I'm like, my favorite console or whatever is about to acquire a studio, or I'm thinking about the games that we're getting. Like that's my first thought. Like, what does that mean? I'm not like, is Bethesda going to be able to sustain? That's just not my first thought process. I hate that. I'm not attacking Neo. I just see this thing a lot, and I'm just curious why gamers always go to this lately. But that's just me. I think we're becoming a lot financial analysts, but I guess people want to know how it works. Here's my thing to his question, because I want to answer it because he was being fair. The main thing is we got to remember, Call of Duty is still on PlayStation. It is still on PlayStation. And guess what? It's going to Nintendo Switch on their new console, which we know is about to come out, which, again, they're going to more than offset it. And then here's the other thing, in my opinion. Remember, even if, let's just say, hypothetically, that didn't exist, and even though I know it wouldn't be financial sound for it not to be on PlayStation, but let's say the Nintendo thing didn't exist. We keep forgetting their whole model is to drive subscription sales, subscription growth. So the person now who's now like, I got to subscribe to Game Pass to get a part of this, in conjunction with Nintendo Switch, in conjunction with PlayStation, and the people that still may buy Call of Duty on Xbox without jumping into subscription, which they probably not going to do. But that's how I think they look at it. I think that's how Microsoft covers it. Again, these guys are paid millions of dollars to work the math. Like, that's why I guess my frustration with, like, these are people who are smarter than us in the financial field that do this for a living. They have figured out the X's and O's. I think I'm confident for them to be $1 trillion companies or whatever they are. In order to get there, you have to have wisdom and knowledge in that space. You just don't do willy-nilly stuff for the sake of doing it to throw money around. You have to have a business plan. So that's what I think is going on here. But in reference to the nickel and diming and the monetization, I think we'll see monetization for sure. I'm curious about early, kind of like what we did with Starfield. Like,
that was my answer.
Okay, you got it.
I think that was my offset answer. You brought up the Switch and PlayStation. I was like, that's so true.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be early access. I think this is Xbox's way of just capitalizing on the FOMO. As Game Pass grows, more people access it. It just is an easy win without changing the core of a game. And I do think, knowing Activision, Call of Duty, I do think they're just going to throw more shit in there for you to buy. No doubt about it.
You might get that. And because think about it. On Xbox, if they do an EA play like how Madden does, 10 days early on Xbox, you get the super deluxe edition with the gun and the whatever, the prestige, the monetization stuff, the exclusive monetization. Bro, these Call of Duty bros, you outside 10 days early playing, or 5 days early, Easy money.
Yeah.
Easy money. Super deluxe edition with a statue or whatever. Easy. They're going to cake out. They will figure out a way. And you best believe, get ready for the bundles. Get ready for the bundles.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's going to get crazy.
Yeah, that's all I really had to say in response to Neo is I think early access will be the play here. Otherwise, though, when it comes to this tweet here, where they're mentioning like newer games not being there, this isn't too surprising. I will say, actually, MW3 not surprising. Diablo 4 a little bit. I know it's one of the best selling games of the year, so you could offset that and say, well, Maddie, I mean, there's people still buying it, but I thought this would kind of be the big headliner one coming in. Like, it's a 2023 game and it's here at least. But otherwise, I'm thinking what they're going to do is, and this confirms it, is a drip feed. We theorized that with the Bethesda deal that maybe Xbox pulled the trigger a little too quickly and just dropped 20 plus games in and then another 20 games in and then boom, there you go. Like, it's done. The whole library's there, which was cool. And as a consumer, I'm a fan of. But for a lot of people, Game Pass is turning into that ecosystem where it's like, what's coming out this week or in the next 2 weeks, and that's what I'm playing. And when it's Activision, instead of overwhelming us in an already overwhelming time with like, here's 30 of our games, just pour them on in.
Yeah, too much.
Just stagger them out. I think it'd be great to just have them all there available because there might be just a particular game you want to play and you can just get to that quicker. But I think if we're looking at it from a business point of view, this is how you gain subs over time. This is what they're going to do. They're going to buy these publishers up and then they're going to just drip feed their own content into the service over time. And then the day one stuff will do its thing. But I think this just firms that kind of approach up. Although, again, I'm a little surprised Diablo 4 may not be making that leap in right away. But we'll see. Of course, Jez's report is suggesting that, like, no, they're going in ASAP. So what those games are could be anybody's guess. But I'm thinking, like, at least the modern Crash games like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 remake. Like, I think it's going to be those kind of in-betweeners, Spyro, those kind of games fill out the service with more younger, kid-friendly titles. But maybe a Call of Duty or 3. That'd be nice. Yeah. Some of the older ones. But otherwise, I'm looking forward to this finalizing, dude. It's hard to believe after all this time that it's going to be over in the next week, and that it's going to end on a positive note. I'll save the whole spiel about that for later, but it's crazy to think about. Last thing I'll just toss in is another Guitar Hero resurgence.
Mention.
Strange, because Guitar Hero Live felt like I bought Guitar Hero Live day one. That was the one that they had like a ton of songs being updated over time. They changed how the guitar worked, which was my biggest thing. Like, look, y'all had a great color scheme and the way it played, like there was a skill level, like you had it. And then they changed it with like something closer down on the neck of the guitar and up on the neck of the guitar. Or they had like a high and a low button, something like that. Once like Rock Band and Guitar Hero Live, once they got away from just the simple green, red, blue, just all that, that's when you lost me. Maybe my brain's a little too simple for it, but bringing it back again.
How are we feeling?
I don't know. I'm going to be happy to see it back, but I don't know if it's really like I feel like this is such a early 2000s type of thing. Like, and we just kind of leave it there.
Got you.
Because stuff with that demands peripherals isn't popular anymore. If your platform is going in this direction of all you need is this, that's it. And eventually you don't even need that as long as you got your phone. And that's where they're going. So to have something that, hey, to play this game on our platform, you need the guitar. Like, I don't know, because maybe you could argue the Guitar Hero experience on a controller would be great, but certainly, I mean, I played there was this Guitar Hero clone on the iPod Touch that I played in middle school. That was great. But other than that, I can't think of any other practical way to enjoy the game. So yeah, I just think Guitar Hero coming back is like, as someone who loved Guitar Hero, that was most of the music I learned about as a kid growing up came through video games. And
nice. All
of my soundtrack or my Spotify playlists are just loaded up with games music. So a lot of my introduction to different eras of music was through Guitar Hero. Like that was my outlet to finding bands and stuff. And so that's what I'd appreciate about it. But I feel like Live had so many great ideas that just didn't catch on. So my question is, what are you going to do now?
Yeah,
What are you going to do now? Like, Live had this idea of, we're going to continue to add songs in and they're all going to be playable. Like, you can just stream a song in. It's going to be playable. And it worked. I remember playing it. It was fun. But like, it never caught on. They stopped supporting it. So now what?
Good point.
I'm curious what, maybe they have a really good idea here. But Bobby Kotick has always been passionate about these kind of peripheral based, like Skylanders. Like, he was really big on, like, we brought this sort of like toys to life idea, and other companies ruined it. Like, Lego did something. So he's very passionate, it seems, about this particular type of game and thinks there's something there. And for all his faults, ran Activision at a profitable margin for a long while. So he must see something here business wise that could do something for Guitar Hero. So we'll see. Certainly a Guitar Hero game on Game Pass would in terms of player count, I imagine, do pretty well if they can figure a way around the controller.
I agree. The peripheral will be the major sticking point, how they circumvent that. Yeah.
There's nothing better than when I bought Guitar Hero 3 and it was in that big horizontal kind of package and it just had the controller and everything. They're awesome. Awesome day.
Oh.
All right, Cog. Game Pass pick of the week. It's you, sir. You're up.
Yeah, this is a surprise because I know your boy is a Horizon boy all day. Horizon guy. All day, Forza Horizon, still dominating the charts, by the way, as popular as the series has elevated. But I want to give flowers to Motorsport because, look, we played this game at we covered it. We got early access to see it. And it was one of those things that I'm like, okay, this is going to be very controversial, but the way the car RPG system is set up, it is catered to a guy like me. It truly is. It is truly catered to progression and positive reinforcement to a guy like me. So I find myself having fun and doing all the qualifying laps, doing the practice, and then getting into, the races and really feeling that sense. And then again, with the quick upgrades and stuff like that, catering to me. I'm not a gearhead. I don't know all the nuances, but the thing that I liked is immediately put it on ray tracing mode, performance ray tracing. And my new thing, Maddie, is normally I'm the guy that I race and I see the whole back of the car, right? The whole, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now I've done this thing where I'm not in the cockpit, but I'm doing the hood in the front.
Oh, you're a maniac, dude. I've tried playing racing games like that. It's so weird to me. I never got into that. Okay, walk me through it.
The reason being, because I saw a couple of clips on Twitter and I'm like, damn, that game look way hotter that way. You know what I'm saying? Like, just to look at it. So I was like, let me throw it in there. Bro, when you seeing the ray trace reflections of that hood and you got the logo of your car in the front and then you see it, like, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care what nobody say, when it comes to racing in the rain and at night, there is nothing better looking than this game on a racing stage.
I remember nighttime maps are so
bro, it is. So it becomes a visual showcase game for me at that point. Again, not saying that, I'm going to be out here, because I ain't got my heart up for that online competition. I'm not there yet. This is me being a fake superstar in the realm of my house. But it was a thing when now that it's come out, I'm like, all right, let me fire back up. And it's a cool casual thing for me to do and still feel I'm getting progression and feel like I'm contributing. Now, look, is it perfect? No, they still got things to fix. They still got, I want them to address my hardcore bros and fix the progression to allow people, because sometimes it takes too long to get, these cars, right? So fix that. Yeah, please fix that for my hardcore bros. Give them what they want. But I will say the core sense of driving, the core sense of drifting, get behind someone, overtaking, you feel a sense of accomplishment. You feel, I'm getting better. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And I think it's a cool. The reason why I'm recommending it for a guy like me that does not like the simulation joints like that, fire this joint up and give it, my casual bros, just fire it up, give it a shot and see what you say and then mess around with the more. I think it's a looker. Right. Shout out to them. I want to give them their kudos on that because I never thought I would at least enjoy a motorsport game. And I was like, I'm enjoying this. I got to be real. I'm getting into it. I was getting real serious. You know what I'm saying? I was getting working on my time. And I love the time and the section breakdown improvement. I really love that. It really hits my sensibility. So Forza Motorsport, give it a shot. again, if you don't last with it, fine. But I think it's worth trying just to see what Turn 10 is doing. And I'm telling y'all right now, night and rain, there is nothing that looks better than that joint. You know what I'm saying? So that's me. Forza Motorsport. Give it a shot, y'all.
There we go. Game Pass pick of the week. Forza Motorsport. And with that, Cog, we're on to our final question of the episode.
Yeah.
Goes to Jeremiah with the write-in. Hey, Dukes, how do you find yourselves, if at all, incorporating games into the health as is wealth mantra? For example, I found that playing a turn-based game while walking on the treadmill can make the time melt away. And I have a friend who's getting exercise motivation from wanting to cosplay Richter Belmont in the future. We all know COG is all about the video game soundtracks at the gym, and I'd love to hear recommendations on that front. But does it go any further ever? Thanks, and have a I fell off my walking pad because of Octopath Traveler 2 being way too engrossing kind of day. Jeremiah, we hope you're recovering well from your spill.
Yes.
So, Cog, I always like to end on health as wealth if I can. Like, if I see one of those questions, it's pretty much a guaranteed finale because it lets us unwind a bit, leave the audience with an important message, something to kind of take home with them. So I'm wondering, sir, beyond you and I sharing the video game soundtracks in all fields of life, have you expanded health as wealth with games in any other ways?
I can't say I've done it on like a treadmill or in like any type of movement because my focus, I can't game on that level. Like my focus is taken away, right? But like I said, during where health is wealth during recovery, you know what I'm saying? Like I told you guys like earlier, with the whole liver biopsy and the 4 to 6 hour recovery. If it wasn't for gaming, you know what I mean? It calmed me down. It really, put me in a place where I said, okay, I'm in an uncomfortable situation. I need to heal, right? I can't move, but what can calm me? What can get me in a place where I can be myself? Grab that ROG Ally that you got behind you, hit up the Xbox app, started firing up games, and it really, the time just flew. And even though I was in a negative situation that last game gave me a lot of anxiety and gave me a lot of stress, and, I still got, I'm not going to take off a shirt, but, I do got the scar. I got a big thing. I got a big gauze. It's a lot of discomfort. I'm not A game today, but gaming is the ultimate distraction for me. Whatever's going on in my life, negative, depression sometimes, if it's not the gym, it's gaming. Jumping in a party chat with the homies, sometimes just talking, getting our life shit, and then just having fun, just, being in there and learning what people are doing. That's what it is for me. And then, with the gym, y'all know me for the soundtracks. I've been rocking my Starfield, and I got a couple more tracks for Starfield that I really like that are more ambient, that outside of the main joint. So you're going to see once I'm cleared for the gym, because I got like 5. I can't go back to the gym until Tuesday, which sucks. I really want to get back out there, but no, I can't even lift 10 pounds right now. They're like, you are not allowed to do anything.
Yeah, so, I've been there when I got my appendectomy, like walking even. I don't know if it was like that for you, but like they had to slowly reintroduce like walking speeds.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I didn't have a walking restriction, but they did say, like, when I remember I was 6 to 8 hours flat during surgery, flat during recovery, getting back up, like I told you before we started, my equilibrium, and then also I didn't eat before. So all that factor really, I had to slow down, like ease into it. So that's the approach I'm taking. And during this period, I spoke to Saul. He was like, bro, it's the time, catch up on your gaming. Like, dude. So that's what it is. And I think gaming is always going to be good for that. And man, I salute to Jeremiah. I like how, he's incorporating all that stuff into it. Cause gaming is bro, I go hard for gaming, man. Nobody can tell me about gaming. Like, it is literally saved my life. It saved my friend's life. We wouldn't be here without gaming. So that's where I'm at with it.
Same. I think mine kind of is in a similar pocket as yours. This may sound like a dodging, because like Jeremiah, you do it like Octopath while working out, which is cool. For me, I feel like I'm going to fall over if I try to do that because I get so fixated on the screen. Like, you step off that tread,
it's over.
Down you go. Right. So for me, I think my answer here would be, as I was saying at the top of the show, I'm really trying to focus on daily recovery time. As in, I'm usually Mr. Go, on to the next thing, on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And I'm trying to teach myself to just find not just a little time, but a chunk of time at the end of every day to just unwind. And sometimes that's in here in this office. I have a recliner in front of me. I'll game on that. Sometimes it'll be in this chair. I'll sit on Discord and talk. But really what I've done is I've broken out the ROG Ally, got that set up. I got the Logitech G Cloud charged and set up. And so it's really been about nestling into a couch, nestling into bed early and still playing a game. Because like we kind of stepped into this lifestyle, but I kind of like it. Is like right now we don't have a TV in our bedroom. And Lily and I have talked about it and kind of don't want that either.
I get that. I get it.
We have a projector set up in our main room. We have another TV in our living room. Like we have enough screens where it's kind of nice when I go into the bedroom that it's time to relax. Like there's no stimulation outside of my phone or if I bring a handheld with me. But yeah, that's kind of been my health is wealth mantra and incorporating games into it is like, as Cog mentioned, like games are an escape. They're a relaxant for me. Like it's almost like a good book before bed, where, I'll just kind of play and chill and unwind. And that's what I've been trying to give my body more of is I recognize, and a lot of it's been stresses, but it's still stress. Like I've gone through a really stressful last year or so. And Cog, I know I'm preaching to choir here. You've had it worse than me, but
we both had it because you had the designation of the vertical where you couldn't travel and you couldn't figuring it out, right? We're both
still can't travel, but
we're still both figuring out what's going on with us long term. We're doing the necessary things to try to fix it.
Yeah. And so that year of health stuff and I remember I was coming home from the city last November, and I was sick as a dog. That was the most sick I think I've ever been in my life. And Laylee, like a saint, picked me up from the city and drove me home. Like I swear on my life, I thought I was dying in the car. I was like, what is going on with my body? And I just have been through like stressful life things, like moving into a house. Talking to her parents about getting engaged, that type of stuff where
life change.
But it kind of just the life's been happening, right? It's been all exciting stuff, but it's like I've been realizing in this past couple of weeks, I'm like, I've never just slowed down for just a moment to just, like I've got my business to a point now where like channels are doing really well. I've figured things out. Like I can chill a little bit. I'm not lazy by chilling. I work extremely hard every day. I'm not lazy. It's been a mental reset. And so part of it, Jeremiah, has been, I think having the games on the go has been for me like an ability of I'm still kind of like I can get stuff done like review wise or game wise while doing stuff around the house or while just hanging out in bed and unwinding and getting to bed earlier so then I get up earlier. It's been about that for me is how I've incorporated it. And handheld has been crucial to that. Look, I am definitely, your old school gamer guy, but I do buy into the cloud vision of Xbox. Like I do, it's going to come with a lot of drawbacks and I've never once ignored that. But like, dude, the fact that, AC Mirage was my awakening. I was like, I'm reviewing this game. I had the gameplay capture running in here. I was in the other room just playing on the Logitech.
Wow.
That was awesome. And then when I was done capturing, I left the system running. I went all the way across the house, like I said, to bed. And I was playing from there. And when I was done, I shut off my console from across the house. Like I actually got up just to check to see if it worked.
It was actually off.
Yeah. Because I was like, in my head, I'm like paranoid about that. Same. So I was like, let me just make sure, of course. But also like now I can trust this. So yeah, dude, I shut it off from bed and I was like, this is crazy. So I can kind of get my work done on the move, which normally was like battle station. You ain't going anywhere for 6 hours. Now mobility, I can relax and kind of cover a game at the same time. Like my setup is more mobile, which allows me to be a little more relaxed. And for me to, you graciously highlighted all I do, which I appreciate. For me to do all of that, a lot of people always ask, like Collins even asked me, like, how do you do it all? It's like, I kind of just ran on fumes for a while, but now it's about like giving myself the time to do so because like when you layered on top running a house with your fiance, like it's just a lot of day-to-day responsibilities that I foresaw, but took more out of my day than you thought. Like it's little things like, in your head, you're like, I just got to wash the dishes. But it's like, no, I got to wash the dishes. Then like Rufus needs to go out. Then Rufus needs to like play for about like half hour, 40 minutes. And like all of a sudden 2 hours are gone. Just like that.
Gone.
So that's the stuff I've learned over time. And I'm just learning how to kind of shift and incorporate. And So that's kind of where I'm at, Jeremiah. I know it's a long answer that effectively says, hey, I like handheld gaming, but like that's been big for me is busting those out. You know, I got to be honest, like the ROG Allies kind of replaced the Steam Deck for me as of right now. I haven't gotten many reps in my Steam Deck. My most used one is still the Logitech G Cloud. I mean, my Xbox is my most played console, most of my games are there. And so the remote play feature with that built in just, like, oh man, unless Xbox builds their own handheld at some point, kind of like what PlayStation's doing with the Portal. Which it's funny that PlayStation's doing that before Xbox in the first place. I just feel like that will be tough for any company to replace because it's also the form factor. It just feels perfect in my hands. I love that thing. I really do.
No doubt.
But Jeremiah, thank you for writing in. Thank you for letting us end on a positive note here with Health is Wealth. Cog, any closing thoughts on the Health is Wealth mantra, or shall we get to really wrapping things up?
No, I love it. Great questions by Jeremiah. I love talking about that stuff. And again, I love that we get a lot of positive response from people that say, hey, we incorporate this stuff. We love when you guys talk about it. Or, hey, I'm incorporating, I make changes in my life because of you guys. I think that's super dope. So yeah, salute to Jeremiah on that one.
Appreciate it, Jeremiah. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to episode 145 of Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. Certainly next week will be extremely eventful, I anticipate. So we will talk about all things Xbox and Activision then, it seems like, as the news really gathers. But until then, please keep it locked here on Defining Duke and Xbox podcast, where we go out every Thursday, early access on Patreon. You can support us there, and also Sundays for free feeds. Cog, our hashtag.
Yeah, what are we doing? I'm confused. I don't know what
I already kind of, as our conversation evolved, it fortified it. I want to label this episode around like comeback kids. Like, everything's about, like, we talked about Cyberpunk to start off. We talked about Redfall, Halo. Something else had like a comeback kind of moment. So kind of the moral of this, the like theme of this episode, I should say. So I was thinking like DD comeback.
Yeah, comeback. Yeah, I like it. Let's do it.
So we'll stay in that pocket there. So if you got this far, you want to tag us on Twitter. I am at G27status. Cog is at Lord Cognito. Use the hashtag DD comeback. Let us know your thoughts on the episode if you got this deep. Certainly, we're looking forward to hearing from you. If you don't use social media, that's fine. Go in the comments. Use the hashtag DD comeback. Looking forward to hearing from you. But other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and we will see you next time for episode 146 of what should be a legendary Defining Duke and Xbox podcast. Peace out.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Maddie's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.